I love private parts.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by CinemaSins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from CinemaSins, joined as always by the voice of CinemaSins, Jeremy Scott.
How, kapow.
Boom. Kazowie. And from music video sins, Barrett Share.
Howdy.
Yeah.
That was a high-pitched howdy. Howdy.
My voice cracked for the first time in like 20 years.
There you go. Well, that's that second crack. It's supposed to hit right around 40.
Nice.
We're on our road trip.
On the road again.
The most time-honored tradition of all, the road trip.
Oh, the places you'll go.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Still stuck in Washington, D.C. traffic.
That's right.
Yeah, we got booted. So we're going to be here for a while.
We're going around whatever circle that they always talk about.
DuPont Circle.
DuPont
yes.
Circle. There you go. Because I hear it's murder this time.
That's right.
And we're going to start off with a bang. G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra, and G.I. Joe, Retaliation.
By the way, people, because I've declared my love for G.I. Joe, Rise of the Cobra, for various reasons that I think are fairly good, I want nothing to do with G.I. Joe, Retaliation.
That's where you draw the line.
That's where I draw the line. Don't loop that movie in with my love of the first movie.
My frustration is people wanting to push this thing where I will watch that movie, Rise of the Cobra, if you will rewatch MacGruber.
Yep.
And I don't think that's a fair comparison, because at least MacGruber, prior to me ever talking about it on the podcast, had already developed this cult following that, as Chris said, thought the movie was genius. There's none of that for Rise of the Cobra.
It's so weird, man. I figure I'm not always on an island. I figure there's got to be some cult out there, but I have never found it.
No, but I'm saying I will do that deal separate of this Rise of the Cobra discussion if we can ever find a movie that I don't remember being good that now has a cult status as being genius that you watch all the time.
All right.
If we can find your MacGruber, I'll do the trade.
And
It's just not Rise of the Cobra.
Who gives a shit that you like this movie, by the way? I think you're wrong, but that doesn't make your taste in movies terrible. Like,
That's true.
Like, I've seen people a lot of times like take that one thing and then they just say, well, I don't believe anything that person says at that point. And it's like, I guarantee you most of us have about a 98% agreement rate, and that's that 2% that we're angry about for some reason. And
Yes.
Just stop it.
What does it say, though, that by title alone, I can't tell you which one of these G.I. Joe movies is which?
Well, I mean, you would be forgiven for that, but the weird thing about Retaliation is that it retained none of the fun of the first one, none of the characters really of the first one. Sienna Miller's not in it. Channing Tatum is only in it for like a hot minute. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's not in it. Dennis Quaid's in it for just a second too, and then sudden Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
So I don't.
The Rock's not in the first one either.
No, he's in the second one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, the second one is. I think of the second one the way that you guys think of the first one, which is doubly depressing because I really like that first one.
Which one has the ninja fight in the Mountain Mansion?
That is the second one.
I like that fight.
I do too.
Okay.
I like, because that's Ray Park, is Night Shadow, which is the black one, and the Storm Shadow.
You're asking the wrong fucking person.
Starscream?
Yeah.
So you weren't really into G.I. Joe back in the day, like the cartoons.
No.
Okay.
I believe this is how this happened. It used to be, I believe Transformers came on after G.I. Joe.
I think so.
But I always saw the very end of a G.I. Joe because of the knowing is half the battle shit. So I always saw that. But it was never because I saw an episode of G.I. Joe, really. And so, no, I wasn't much into it. I think my brothers were. I remember going into the attic and seeing, like, G.I. Joe, like, not toys, but I think there was a game or something that.
I had that.
And they were into that, but I never got it.
It's weird. You and I had oddly similar toy upbringings because, at least in this regard, I was way into Transformers and had all those toys. Never gave two shits about G.I. Joe, but every other friend I had was into both of them. And I'd go over to my buddy Ben's house and we would to play Transformers, and he would like shove all his G.I. Joe toys out of the way so we could play Transformers. I didn't have G.I. Joe toys.
I don't know. I didn't have very many just like the action figure toys anyway, though. Like I didn't have Transformers either, but I know I watched that show more than I watched G.I. Joe. I had GoBots.
Yeah, I had some of those.
Yeah.
I had the submarine.
I had a couple of GoBots.
Yeah, some GoBots, man. So, but that was the only thing like really, I played a lot with like Legos and Lincoln Logs and stuff like that. So.
GoBots.
Yeah, GoBots.
Even back then, like I just read an article this morning about how hard it is to kickstart any kind of new gadget because even before your fundraising is ended, some Chinese knockoff company has created a cheap version of your product and shipped already. Yeah, even back in the 80s with G.I. Joe, Transformers and GoBots. GoBots is not like, I wonder if there's like, it was ever any kind of like court case
between GoBots and
it's such an obvious knockoff.
I bet there was.
There had to have been. And he probably ended up buying them or something. Like Legos and Knoblocks or whatever they're called.
Knoblocks.
What are they called?
Named after the late second baseman from the Minnesota Twins.
Roccos or Geckos. Duplex. Duplo.
Duplo, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We
Knoblocks.
got there. It took a few tries, but we got there.
Anyway, G.I. Joe, Rise of the Cobra.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they both have some Washington, D.C. action?
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you looking up? I'm sorry.
I was looking up it. Storm Shadow is the good ninja, and Snake Eyes is the bad ninja. No. Snake Eyes is the good ninja, and Storm Shadow is the bad one. But it always confused me because the good ninja is dressed all in black, and the bad ninja is dressed all in white, and it's usually the other way around.
Yeah, color-wise, like Spy vs. Spy has ingrained in me that white is good and black is evil. I don't even know. I never read Spy vs. Spy.
Yeah, I was about to say, Spy vs. Spy, you never rooted for any of them. It was always like, there was always some twist. There was always like, one of the spies would get it over on the other spy, but the other spy had already thought of that and got it over on the other spy by the end of it.
It's like the Roadrunner, only that it's both coyotes and no Roadrunner.
Pretty much, yeah. Now maybe I don't. Did you read a bunch of Spy versus Spy?
Only in Mad Magazine.
It didn't seem like they favored one or the other, did they?
No, I don't remember
really.
it did.
Yeah,
it just came out of my mouth.
It's funny what you said. I was just sitting there thinking, wait a minute, was it really like maybe they did favor one and it was always that one that got.
That'd be funny if it did.
We continue the winning streak with Geostorm.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You haven't seen this yet, have you?
No, I've seen Into the Storm.
Man.
And The Perfect Storm.
I mean, Gerard Butler's accent in this is baffling.
Mm-hmm.
It is baffling. It's like he's chewing gravel, and like he can barely suppress the Scottishness.
Yeah,
but he wants it to come off as like tough guy New York style. It's the weirdest fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
His career, man.
Geostorm is this. It's okay. So we fucked the planet up completely at this point. So we're not even worried about like recycling anymore. They've built a machine that controls the weather.
Yep.
And then suddenly one day something goes haywire with it, and it goes way too extremely cold in one place and way too extremely hot.
Instantly cold.
Instantly. Yes, instantly. And they have to get one man to go up there and figure out what the fuck has just happened. And
Is it Leonard Nimoy? I want it to be Leonard Nimoy.
Did you have any fun with this movie?
No.
Yeah, I was trying to think of, because this is normally my thing, like disaster movies, Gerard Butler movies, but it's not even fun. There's this crazy brotherly backstory crammed in there. And like it's fucking awful. This
is Dean Devlin, who had worked with Roland Emmerich for a really long time, and it's a de facto Roland Emmerich movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's really not much fun to be had in this.
Yeah.
And it really should have. It really had the chance to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you tweak this a little bit, throw a little bit more fun into it, I think you could have a watchable movie.
Yeah.
Right now, the effects are bad. The acting is hideous. Who plays his brother? The only thing about this that's worth watching is Zazie Beetz. She's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But
is she playing like some kind of whip smart science person?
Exactly.
Yep.
I also just read an article today about, because it's Equal Pay Day, and there's a lot of great articles about feminism stuff. And I read an article about how frequent it is for Disney female characters who are young to be written as science-y, as sort of a blanket character development thing. I didn't get to dive into that article before I had to come down here.
That's interesting.
But I thought that was interesting.
I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, the article seemed to be suggesting it was a bad thing, but surely it's better than showing all of them like in pageants or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
promoting science isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to stop bringing up articles I read this morning.
Jim Sturgis played his brother.
Jim Sturgis, yeah.
What a career that guy's had.
I know. I mean, so look, he was another going to be like big time because of 21 and because of the Beatles thing.
The Beatles thing. And then he did that
Across the Universe.
Across the Universe.
Yeah.
Across the Universe. So yeah, he was on that track, and now he's kind of like
he's total like discount whatever.
Yeah, random like hey, we need somebody to play the brother. Jim Sturgis, why not?
Who's left out there in the hall?
Yeah, pretty much. I would love to see that audition, by the way. Just a whole bunch of like dudes who were cast off and everything. They all look the same. They're all, they're all Jim Sturgis.
That's sneakily the best long-running SNL gag is when they do fake auditions for famous movies.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Throw in a bunch of impressions.
Yeah,
That's like one of their most consistent gags.
Yeah.
Anyway.
On to Haywire, Steven Soderbergh's movie with Gina Carano.
You like.
I do.
Yeah.
I thought this was decent.
Yeah, I thought this was surprisingly good.
I mean, Gina Carano is not an actress.
That's what you have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, because otherwise, the rest of this movie is really, really good. It's got tons of star power. Ewan McGregor, Michael Fassbender, Chatham Tanning, and there's just this murderer's row of actors. But I mean, this poor woman, as you see she's in Deadpool, right?
Yeah.
As you see in Deadpool, but she just can't get out of her way.
At least Deadpool only gave her 4 lines.
Yeah,
they weren't trying to have her anchor a whole movie. Like Batista, I made the same jokes about him when he first went from wrestling to acting, but at least he can do Drax.
Yep.
He's charming enough.
He was good in Blade Runner, too.
He was good in Blade Runner. I forgot about that. I was thinking about the Bond movie where he just had to be a henchman.
Yeah.
But I feel like he is a good enough actor to pull off that, just like The Rock was. Not everybody is. And I don't know that we should give lead roles to people who, did you screen test it all? I know he's experimental. I'm just saying.
I think he was going for more of the authenticity of the action scenes than he was for acting.
Yeah, and that's what you go for, and I think that's what you ultimately take out of Haywire. It's not so much her performance, but her physical performance.
Yeah. Which I don't like the movie, but I thought she was great in that aspect. The action is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being DC. Sorry.
Oh, Michael Douglas was in that too. I forgot.
Old business guy.
Bill Paxton. I forgot all these people were in there. So Michael Douglas, Bill Paxton, Antonio Banderas. That's crazy. I want to watch this movie again.
Then we have Head of State, which I swear is the movie that I always confuse with Enemy of the State.
This is the Chris Rock one, right?
It's not anything like Enemy of the State whatsoever. But yes, Chris Rock is the main guy in this. I never saw this.
Really?
Think. Yeah.
What's the premise?
Which just makes it even weirder that I confuse this movie with Enemy of the State.
Is this the one where he's a twin and Anthony Hopkins recruits him to?
No. We just talked about that movie a few weeks ago, but I forget what that one is. This is where he's running for president, and they the Democratic Party nominates him to be essentially a straw man so they can go to the next election cycle. And so he's trying to follow the rules and all that stuff. And then halfway through, he pulls a Bulworth and just starts telling it like it is.
The movie you're thinking of is Bad Company.
There you go.
But yeah, Head of State. Chris Rock directed this. He wrote and directed.
Oh, wow.
It's funny. It's got, because Bernie Mac plays his brother, and he brings him on as this vice presidential nominee. And spoiler, he ends up winning. But yeah, it's funny.
Is it better than Pootie Tang?
How much?
I don't think I've seen
Pootie
Tang.
There's nothing better than Pootie Tang.
Well, Pootie Tang's got a cult following.
It
absolutely does.
Louis C.K. directed it.
Yep,
He directed it? I knew he wrote it. Wow. It's there's a lot of generic beats, but he's funny in it. Bernie Mac is hilarious.
I need to check this out. I honestly don't think I ever saw this.
It's actually Bad Company that I confuse with Enemy of the State.
That one I could very much.
And then when Head of State gets called up and I think of Chris Rock, I immediately confuse it with both of the movies. So,
which is weird that you just kind of compared it to Bulworth, because wasn't Chris Rock in a remake of Heaven Can Wait, which starred Warren Beatty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to clarify that.
You just blew my mind.
And what was that? Was that also called?
It was Down to Earth, I think.
Down to Earth. Yeah.
Chris Rock has a lot of like forgettable movie titles.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, because he hosted the awards and he went in on that guy from the show Empire with the Chicago thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesse Smollett.
And I saw a lot of people on Twitter like dragging him for being too mean. And then for that, bringing up that whole thing from a few months ago that was actually an old video where Louis C.K. says the N-word in front of Chris Rock.
We were just talking about this, yeah.
And Jerry Seinfeld. Like, people were dragging Chris Rock a little bit. And I'm like, better reasons to drag him down to earth, head of state, Bad Company. Like, he had a run there where we let him kind of do whatever he wanted.
I Think I Love My Wife.
Like,
oh, that's a good movie.
Is it
Do
really?
you like that?
Yeah.
Is it as good as Why Did I Get Married Too?
It's way better than that. Why I Get Married Too is maybe one of the worst movies I've seen in the last 15 years.
I didn't even know you've seen that one. That's crazy.
I saw that movie. We had 2 prints of it at Hollywood 27, me in one auditorium and another guy in another auditorium, and we were texting each other. That's one of the most ridiculous movies I've ever seen in my life. Then we have Holloman, which is basically The Invisible Man. Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. This movie is oddly watchable.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has got a cult status now, doesn't it?
I don't know. I don't know that it should. The effects are pretty bad.
I'm sure they are now. They were, it's like you were saying with Perfect Storm, which I just saw again, by the way. Yeah. You're absolutely right about the effects, but they were like groundbreaking for Holloman at the time.
Yeah.
I bet they have.
This is a very strange movie for Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Didn't realize he directed
Yeah,
it.
you would never, like, that's one of those movies where, Holloman, who did that? Oh, it's probably somebody generic or whatever.
Yeah.
And this just doesn't fit in his filmography anywhere, it doesn't feel like.
It's not campy. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's been since it came out since I've seen it, but it didn't. I don't remember it having that camp that he usually has.
And the one thing that doesn't hold up very well about it is that he gets very rapey.
He gets all the rapey.
Yeah.
Like, the first time he goes out invisible, he rapes.
Yeah, I think it's...
I'm sorry.
So,
I'm sorry. But that's not it. He tries to rape Kim Dickens later in the movie.
Kim Dickens and Rona Mitra.
Yeah.
Rona Mitra is the big showpiece part of it.
I'm just saying, that says a lot about your character. It's as soon as you get invisible, you go right to that.
Yeah.
Right to it. Oh, I could totally rape now.
Yeah. And, they're careful to say it's because of the chemical changes and so on and so forth. But, like, that's really
He's creeping on that neighbor before he ever goes invisible.
He does.
He, likes her and spies on
That's
her
right.
way before that.
That's
You can't
right.
explain that shit away with science.
That's right.
Greg Grunberg is in this.
Yep. Elizabeth Shue.
Elizabeth Shue. We could somehow not talked about the most visible character on
Josh
screen.
Brolin.
Josh Brolin in a very pre-Josh Brolin kind of role.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, strangely watchable, not good.
No.
And yeah, guy gets very rapey.
Yeah.
The direct-to-video standalone sequel called Holloman 2 starred Christian Slater and Peter Facinelli.
I am watching that shit tonight.
Yeah, no
Are
doubt.
you kidding me?
I'm not serious.
I would love nothing more than to find out there's actually 6 Hollow Man movies.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
just
sweet.
Yasmine Bleeth is in the 4th one.
Or like
it's Hollow Woman.
I hate when they gender swap movies.
But I mean, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if if suddenly the Hollow Man universe, and they're just calling them different things now.
That's hilarious. The picture of Hollow Man 2 is not of a poster at all. It's a picture of the VHS cassette.
Oh, yeah,
cover.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
probably the only picture they can get. That's awesome.
We finally get to a pretty good one here. In the Line of Fire,
Yeah.
Wolfgang Petersen's movie with Clint Eastwood, John Malkovich, and Rene Russo, Clint Eastwood is a guy who failed to protect JFK back in the day. He's a Secret Service agent.
Mm-hmm.
He failed.
Mm-hmm.
He totally could have jumped in front of that bullet somehow.
Yes.
That's right.
So he's been living with that for years and years and years.
Yeah, it's like one of the most debated murders of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And yet apparently because he was one of the 6 guys on the detail.
Yeah.
Like it's a mark of shame. Like he's like just trying to get back to presidential detail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because of this, and this was JFK. This was like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's like been in the doghouse ever since.
Yeah. And so somehow, some way, he wasn't able to jump in front of the motorcade.
Yeah.
To save JFK.
So I love this movie, by the way. He's depressed about it, and he's being punished about it, right? And he's being singled out by Booth, the Malkovich character, in just kind of like a coincidental thing. Like, why did Booth single him out?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there was pictures of him at the scene or something, and
yeah, I don't know.
So it's one of those early digital younginings, or at least they took an image from Eastwood's past movies,
right.
and just dumped him in this picture or whatever. But yeah, he is now tasked to protect the president in the modern day, and there's this guy Malkovich who's building a gun. Mm-hmm. That has no metal parts in it.
That's right. Not even one.
Not one metal part.
Now, at the time, pretty fucking laughable.
Right.
Yeah.
This day and age, pretty fucking scary.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
He is amazing in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, this may be my favorite Malkovich performance.
Yeah.
He's super creepy. He's having so much fun.
He is.
Oh, it's so great.
It seems like I mean, now I was 16 when this movie came out, so I didn't know who John Malkovich was when this movie came out, and I didn't think he had much of a career before this. He's obviously in Dangerous Liaisons, and he was in that Of Mice and Men with Gary Sinise.
Oh yeah,
quality. I like that one.
Yeah. He had a pretty good career. It's kind of like Tommy Lee Jones. He didn't really become a star until The Fugitive, but he had been like in tons of movies before The Fugitive. Same thing with me there. But Malkovich had been in a ton of stuff. But this was his star-making performance because everybody wanted John Malkovich in his movies after this because of that. Exactly what you're talking about. It looks like he's having so much fun being the bad guy. But yeah, this is a good movie.
I like it. There's a shot of him when he's at one of the rallies, and Clint Eastwood is hyper nervous because he knows he's somewhere out there, and like the crowd cheers and all that stuff, and he's looking all deliciously creepy and everything, and then like he just lets out a couple of whoop.
Yeah, he is definitely the reason to watch this. Rene Russo's charming enough.
Yes.
She's always good. And it's hard to buy the romance with her and Eastwood.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, they have enough chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm just, it's like watching.
And there's that point on the I think he's at the Lincoln Memorial, and she walks away, and he's like, all you have to do is just turn around, and then that means she likes you and all that. And then she turns around, and it's on.
Oh, he's a piano player in this too, isn't he? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think he actually can play really well.
He can,
he plays jazz piano.
Don't you think that if you were to go up to Clint Eastwood and say, "Can you do ... he's old enough that he can do it?"
Although some things he may be too old now to do.
Yeah,
Can
at
one
you
point
ride the beast at Kings Island?
Right.
Have to say no. My doctor will not let me.
He would fall apart.
Yeah. Then we have, this is a great one, In the Loop. This is the Armando Iannucci, who is best known for Veep these days, and I know he did a lot of stuff in England beforehand, so that's where he got his name there. Here, it's Veep and In the Loop. Armando Iannucci, and the guy can write some freaking dialogue that is insane. Veep just started up again. And there's just so many lines. I was watching some of the marathon that they were playing, and there's just so many just tossed off, just hilarious lines. There's a point in this the latest episode where Selena, the Julie Louis-Dreyfus character, is talking to her daughter and her wife. And it's Clea Duvall who plays her wife. And Clea Duvall's like going way too much into the too much information territory and saying we don't have sex anymore, nothing penetrative anymore, blah blah blah. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus walks away and starts talking to somebody else. It's like, sorry, I just had to get away from blue is the most annoying color.
Fucking awesome.
Oh,
wow. I'm probably going to honestly wait and binge when it's done, just because the only way I ever saw that show was binging.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Like, if I start a show week to week, I can make the wait. But if I start a show bingey, I can't make the transition to week to week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got to wait, save it up, and binge.
Mm-hmm.
Binge that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
In the Loop is hilarious.
It's
though.
awesome. This was actually a spinoff from his UK show, The Thick of It, which I've never seen, but it's
I haven't either.
Anytime we bring this guy up, it's always the first thing that people recommend. You got to watch this. But yeah, this is so fucking good. Tom Hollander's in this.
Yeah,
one.
A lot of people are in this. James Gandolfini,
yeah.
Anna Klumsky, who's in Veep, is in this.
This was maybe her return.
Kinda, yeah.
Because she had that long absence from acting. And I'm so glad. I love Anna Klumsky.
Yeah, I do too. But yeah, Tom Hollander, I think if you had to pick maybe a main character, is probably the main guy. And
I love that guy.
And then what's his name? Who plays who's been one of the iterations of Doctor Who is in this, and he's got the
Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
some of the best lines in this. He's the meanest character in the entire thing. But if you just want to hear just like crazy back and forth, like just some real cutting, incisive dialogue, it just goes back forth super fast. You could watch In the Loop and not catch about half the things that get said. That's how fast it is.
Yeah.
And everything.
Did he do Death of Stalin?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of in the same
It's
vein.
Same
All
vein.
of his work is exactly like that. You can watch. I've seen Death of Stalin probably a handful of times. Every time there's something funny that I missed the first 4 times or whatever.
I gotta see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then there is Independence Day. Of course, we have talked about Independence Day quite a bit, probably. And you don't really need to hear too much about it. It's a alien invasion movie. Also disaster film at the same time. All of the U.S. monuments in the world are getting blown up, essentially.
I just caught this a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
The best part of this is the interaction between Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum, I think. That whole ship. And it takes almost the entire movie to get to that point, but they've got perfect chemistry.
Yeah.
Like as soon as he's whoops, he's got the thing upside down and everything. It's awesome. It's awesome. And I still love this movie. The effects don't hold up. The cheesiness doesn't hold up. But there's enough to like about it that I'll keep going back to it. And the score is fantastic.
I like how in Will Smith's girlfriend's neighborhood, there's like a Los Angeles-sized spaceship hovering over the city. And like everyone's just out at the end of their driveway looking at it. Just looking at it. Well, my, that's strange.
Yeah.
As though half of them wouldn't be on fire, running, screaming at the top of their lungs.
Oh, I know. It's almost like it's happened before, right? It's like this. Oh, yeah, the ships are back.
I understand some people being so shocked that they just gape and wonder, but not everyone. Some people are running for the hills.
I hesitate because I know there are people out there who would go up to the top of a building and to greet the aliens.
Yes. Oh, like in Mars Attacks?
Yeah, well, in Independence Day.
Somebody does it in
The
Independence
stripper
Day?
goes up with their sign.
Yeah,
I thought that was Mars Attacks.
No,
it
could be.
Well, in Mars Attacks, they do go out to the desert with all the trailers and stuff, and they're all waiting for them.
Yeah,
you're right.
But but in Independence Day, they get to the top of these buildings, and Vivica Fox tells her stripper friend, "Don't go there," and she's like, and it looks like, okay, well maybe she won't. No, she's up there with a sign, like, yeah.
And that's isn't that the actual building that gets blasted too?
Yeah.
Why would they choose that?
Because it's the tallest building in L.A.
But the White House isn't the tallest building in D.C.
That's true.
That's true. The aliens have some very strange choosing.
Salient point there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like Independence Day still, and when we send it, I got very nostalgic for it. I know that it's not the greatest, but it's especially for its time, it was a fun movie.
Oh, I was geeked the fuck out as soon as I walked out of that.
Oh, man,
movie.
I fucking loved it.
I called everybody I knew. Like, have you seen it? Can we talk about it?
Man.
Well, it has one. I mean, because of the content in the movie, it has some of the best trailers of all time.
Yep.
Because you hadn't seen stuff like that before. And this isn't digital really. They built models.
Mm-hmm.
They built actual models of the White House
And had popsicle sticks.
yeah, and blew it up that way, and it looks real.
They
what
built
happened.
actual blue alien laser guns,
Oh yeah,
and they used them to blow it up.
Amazing.
yeah, was a technology that did not exist before the movie.
Actually, speaking of miniatures, people don't realize how much of Blade Runner 2046, what is it, 2049?
Yeah.
Have you seen the behind-the-scenes video of how many, all those cityscape shots are modeled?
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's
I gotta
fucking mind-blowing.
I want to watch that.
Because you could watch it and easily think, oh, that's CG, and that movie's gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
Oddly, I still don't think I love it. I like it better than the first. Somehow I've watched it like 5-6 times now.
It's so watchable, and it's fucking long, but it's
It
so
is.
watchable.
It really is. But almost all that's miniature work. I'll try and find that link.
Interesting.
Then there's a horrible Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake called The Invasion.
Woo, this is bad.
Nicole Kidman, Daniel Craig, Jeremy Northam, and I remember nearly falling asleep.
Northam.
I nearly fell asleep in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know how you make this content boring. Because I love the, 1978 version?
Yeah, the Donald Sutherland and
I love that version.
Well,
it's
and-
such a creepy concept.
there's another one that came out in 94 that has what's her name? Gabrielle Anwar in it,
Right.
called Body Snatchers. That's really good too. Is it Body Snatchers?
Did you like that?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I thought that one was good too. And it also has Meg Tilly, Jennifer Tilly's sister.
Ooh.
But that
There's
one's
also
good.
that direct-to-video Guy Ritchie sequel, Snatchers.
Oh yeah, totally.
Abel Ferrara did that actually.
Oh, wow.
It was called Body Snatchers, the
Oh, yeah?
93 version.
Okay. Yeah, that one was pretty decent. And then of course there's like an older version, I think, that I never saw that one.
56.
Yeah. But this one, God, I could be wrong, but isn't this movie like really short? But it felt like 3 hours. It's really one of those type.
Yeah,
of
it's 99 minutes.
Yeah, 99 minutes. It
did
felt
feel long.
I mean, seriously, I think this was definitely a movie I watched on a Thursday night or whatever, and looked at and I looked at my phone thinking, okay, it's got to be like 3 o'clock in the morning. No, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Real shitty.
Yeah.
Then we have Iron Man 2. There is some congressional debates at the beginning of it where
Isn't the expo there too?
Oh.
the expo is in Queens.
It's in Queens.
Yeah.
Oh.
Queens is in D.C., right?
I do remember having a YouTube comment argument about that because somebody thought that when we had a joke about them being in Queens and Tony had gone from Malibu to Queens in like 5 minutes or something like that. Somebody was like, no, he lives in Malibu and that's where that expo was. I'm like, fuck you.
Well, especially now that they've come back around and decided to glom onto that fan theory that the little kid with the Iron Man mask is Peter Parker in the MCU, then Queens is the only place that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, they're in. I mean, it doesn't even. There's not even a logic to it. It's Flushing fucking Meadows.
That's as fucking Queens as he can get, man.
It's the same place in Men in Black where the ship is. It's that same fucking place. But there are some at the very beginning of actually, I guess Iron Man 2 has quite a bit of DC in it, but Gary Shandling plays the senator who wants Tony to turn over his tech to the government. And Tony's like, this is my property, you can't have it, and all that.
Gary Shandling playing Holly Hunter.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing because I think this movie wanted to have more fun, but it ended up being more serious than anything. Like he's dying, like he's getting all drunk and everything.
Yeah.
Like the tech is not like Ivan Drago.
He's drinking himself to death.
He really is. And like the comics lean into that hard. Like
Yeah.
Tony's alcoholism is a big deal for a long time in the comics. I think probably the most famous arc is about him. I think it's even called something, I think Bottles in the title.
Really?
But basically he goes to a really dark place. The movie was probably never going to do that as part of the MCU. But if it could have, that might have been very interesting.
Yeah, I just wish this movie would pick a lane, whether it's supposed to be more comedy or whether it's supposed to be more serious. Either way, I think it would have been a better movie. Well, the problem
is then you have people like the wrestler who are right in the middle. Like he can't decide if he's trying to be funny or be serious either.
Yeah,
so he ends up being
fucking bird.
See, at least Rockwell I think is trying to be funny.
Yeah.
But everybody else seems stuck in the middle.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep.
That is a funny scene where he sells all of his Rockwell sells all of his tech to the government, and he tells them about the tiny one that's supposed to blow up everything in the world or whatever, and he's sold it perfectly, and then Don Cheadle uses it later, and it's like a little firework essentially.
I don't know. There's stuff to like in this movie, but it's definitely way down on the list.
Yeah. Then we have J. Edgar. This is Clint Eastwood directing Dicaprio as J. Edgar Hoover, and I remember this being dull as fuck.
It is. I think I liked it because I think Leo's been given some really good performances in lesser movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think he was good in The Aviator. He's really good in this. He's got terrible makeup in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's good in Great Gatsby, I think, which is not a very good movie. But yeah, it went too morose. Like it really picked a lane on his homosexuality and how that affected him and how he was blackmailing Martin Luther King and all that stuff. And it just turned out boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I was really excited for this movie.
I was too
before it came out.
I've seen this movie and The Aviator. And you could show me a scene from either one, and I wouldn't be able to tell you which is which.
I think The Aviator also has some bad makeup on it, too.
I mean, unless he was
awful.
flying an airplane in that picture, and I would be able to guess The Aviator.
Well, both of them reek of Oscar bait.
Yes.
And that's another problem that I have a lot of times where it just feels like the directors involved, they want somebody to love them. And Scorsese had never had that before. He never made movies that felt like for people to love him. And Aviator was the first time, and I didn't get into it.
Yeah.
And J. Edgar, Clint Eastwood already had. I mean, it's like Clint Eastwood was trying to get a streak going there because he had $1 Million Baby and he had Flags of Our Fathers and the Letters from Iwo Jima and all that. And these were. It looked like he was just trying to get this streak of like Oscar nominations, and J. Edgar just falls so short.
What was the last movie Leo did? Was it The Revenant?
No, well, I mean, he's been doing this Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think The Revenant is before Once Upon a Time is the last one he did.
He doesn't work very often.
I guess he has
doesn't need to.
Yeah. He's also is he also in that Irishman movie that's coming out with the Scorsese directing?
That's another one that has like everybody in Hollywood, so possibly so.
And I think he is. I think this is the first time that he's maybe not. He's not in that.
God, The Irishman's been in development for what feels like 25 years.
Oh yeah, I've heard about it for a long time. No, it's more De Niro, Pacino. There's no DiCaprio in that movie. Then we have the Jackal. Guys, I saw this movie when it came out. All I remember is the Jack Black scene, and I don't remember anything else.
You don't need to remember anything else. This is like, you should be able to make movies like this at least entertaining.
Yeah.
And this is not entertaining.
You don't think it was entertaining?
This is Richard Gere
Yeah.
and Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Both playing the wrong role. I'm not sure there's a role in this movie that Richard Gere is supposed to play, but he's here. Jack Black playing the wrong kind of role.
Isn't he Jamaican? Or he's got dreadlocks and shit, doesn't he?
He has some kind of fucked up haircut. I'm confusing him now with I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, where he definitely has dreadlocks and sells weed. But yeah, no, I've seen this twice. Probably I've seen it once at least in the last 5 years, and no, I hated it.
I feel like Bruce Willis is having fun. Like he's this soulless, silent assassin, basically. But yeah, it's not worth.
We could debate when was the last time Bruce Willis had fun. That could be a whole podcast.
Maybe Beavis and Butthead do.
Yeah. I guess there's an argument for Red, even though I don't like Red too much.
Well, but then he stopped before Red 2.
Yeah, he definitely stopped before Red 2 because Red 2 is joyless. Then we have Kingsman, The Secret Service, and Golden Circle. Golden Circle ends up in Kentucky, but it does
involve the president and
yeah.
Is it Bruce Greenwood? Yeah, Bruce Greenwood.
This is Bruce. Yeah, Bruce Greenwood is definitely the president in Golden Circle, and he's a terrible president. He's the he's like, hey man, kill all the guys who smoke weed. I'll be a fucking hero.
Two diametrically opposed movies, by the way. One is really, really good.
Yeah,
and one is really believing in its own bullshit.
Yeah, although when Golden Circle was making the rounds on HBO, I was finding reasons to watch it for whatever reason. It's still silly, but it's maybe just a bit too silly this time. Like you're saying, they got a little bit too much on their bullshit from the first one. The first one is pretty solid, and then the second one, they're like, well, nothing matters. So
yeah, we can literally do anything.
Yeah. I do think it's kind of interesting that what's his name, Taron Egerton. Has scenes with Elton John in this movie.
Yeah, that is funny.
He's playing Elton John.
That Elton John storyline was such bullshit. That was the ultimate on your own bullshit type of thing. Like
because it's basically like, let's have him yell obscenities. That'll be funny.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to.
Where do we stand on Samuel L. Jackson's accent or affectation on the first movie?
You mean lisp?
The lisp, yeah. I kind of liked it.
Okay.
I didn't know if we had a strong opinion.
I mean, mathematically, you make as many movies as he does, one of your characters is eventually going to have a lisp.
Yeah, yeah.
But it felt like an odd choice to me.
Yeah, I think that's one of those where they say this is a hyper realized world, so it's gonna have like a lot of these affectations like this. So that's what they gave him, and that's what he went with, and I'm fine with it. But
he looks like he's having fun in this movie
for sure. And I mean, that's got to be tough for him because he's in like 200 movies every year, and and so like. To get it up for like every single, I mean, it's got to be tough. This Shaft movie that's coming out.
Oh my god!
He was like, well, all right, I guess I got to do this, huh? But something like this, which is kind of different and funny and everything. But yeah, I like the first one, and I like the second one maybe better than I should, but it's not.
You want to know what's crazy? The last Shaft movie with Samuel L. Jackson was made before Jeffrey Wright and Christian Bale were huge stars.
Right? Right?
I'm just saying, it was a long-ass fucking time ago.
Yeah.
We don't think about that. But then they're just like, Shaft? Okay.
Yeah,
what's it been, 27 years? Let's do it.
It's. I was about to say there's probably been as much time between these two than there was between those last two, but no, it's a little bit less. But still, a lot of time has gone by since that last
Indeed.
Show. Then there is Kong Skull Island. There is some DC stuff at the beginning where they're like asking if they can even go to this island.
Yeah,
but most of it is actually shot on Kong Skull Island.
Yes, actually shot on Skull
out
Island.
there in the Caribbean somewhere.
Yeah. You know what? This was going to be my answer at Sin Week on a Q&A section. People asked, like, what's your least favorite genre of movies? And someone said horror movies. I mentioned documentaries. I just don't get to them. Creature features just aren't my bag. Like, I don't care. I don't care how you could detail every pubic hair on Kong or whatever it is.
Right.
Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If there's no story and there's nothing to, like, hold on to.
Yeah.
It's just,
Wolfman's got nards and Kong's got pubes.
I'm the same way. Yeah. Even the real classic ones, like the classic Godzillas and stuff. There's very little to actually sink your teeth into on those.
Yeah.
I remember I watched one that was on Turner Classic or something one day, and it was one of those like first ever Godzillas, and it's like revered, and it's boring. Yeah. For at least, I mean, it finally gets to the monster, and you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of sink. It's kind of gotta get into that, I guess. But yeah, most of the time, you're in these movies, you're sitting around waiting for the monster to show up.
Yeah,
and a lot of times the filmmakers make a big deal about not showing you the monster for so long,
which is why I liked Cloverfield. It was about the monster, but it was about the city's reaction to the monster. And this is the total opposite. It's just like, I'm going to eyeball fuck you with Kong and with these other monsters, and maybe there's dinosaurs, and then there's fucking Tim Hiddleston like slicing through things with gas and shit. And it's like, God damn it, I don't need this.
Yeah.
I don't need this in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't there like a second Kong?
Huh?
Isn't there more than one Kong?
No, there's one Kong, but he
one
battles all
giant
these
ape?
other fucking... No. There wasn't another giant ape.
Really?
He eats an octopus, a giant octopus. He fights this dinosaur crocodile thing at the
several
end.
dinosaurs, yeah.
I got to be thinking of something. Help me figure it out. I thought for sure they got there and found a giant ape and thought it was the giant ape. And then there was a gianter ape.
Not in this one.
I don't think so.
What the fuck am I thinking of?
Was it the King Kong, the Peter Jackson King Kong?
No.
Could it have been Congo?
Congo.
All right.
I don't
never mind.
know. You know what? Your description there vaguely rings a bell, but I can't think of it.
All right. Listeners, help us out. Jeremy needs help.
We'll figure it out probably after the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't like this at all, and I just remember too. This was I knew we were in a completely different age when they came out with the trailers for all the movies, pretty much all the movies, big movies of. Was this 2016?
Yes.
2016, and in 2015 there were all these trailers for, like, I think it was San Diego Comic-Con and all that.
It's 2017, I'm sorry.
Oh, the Meg!
Oh, the Meg?
They thought they found the Meg, and then there was a bigger Meg.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, there is a point where they find the Meg, and then when they've killed it and everything, of course the movie is like 45 minutes left once that happens. That's where that sin came from, where the guy's like sitting there like having fun in a raft out in the middle of the fucking ocean, and I was like, I've never seen a guy who is more dead in a movie. But I remember seeing trailers. So it was 2017 when this movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2016 on Twitter, there was all these trailers coming out for movies like Kong Skull Island, and there was a few others in the summer. And people were just like super excited about this Kong Skull Island. I was like, what? I don't see what you guys are seeing.
Nope.
At all.
And it's just not my bag.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm sick of. Fucking new Avengers trailers. Just stop it. I've seen all the footage that I want to see from this movie. Mm-hmm. And like every day, there's another one that, okay, Tony's back with the gang and Nebula's back with the gang. And who knows if they're doing it just to fuck with us or whatever. I don't want to see anything else before this movie.
Yeah. I think they've already basically sold out of that first day.
Yeah.
Because it was on Twitter today. Everybody's buying tickets for it.
Yeah, I know. We probably won't get a showing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible.
What? To
I want to
pre-sale?
talk about that now or later. But like, maybe one day we'll get to a place where this could happen. I don't think it's possible for a movie that's going to open on like 6,000 screens to digital film to sell out.
Well,
they're going to just open more showings.
Well, that's what I was about to get to, was that it's nearly impossible to do that, and it's been nearly impossible to do that for the last 5 or so years around the country, because I've told that story before about how Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, we were going to have just 4 or 5 showings. If we had had prints, that's where we would have ended it probably. Yeah. But with digital now, you can put any movie in any projector, and you can schedule accordingly to the point where we had all 27 playing Harry Potter that night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if they sell out of one, they're going to go to the next one, and to the next one until they finally...
Like, I totally understand. I'm not trying to belittle people buying in advance. I get that. If you want a specific time or seat or day, buy in advance. But the people who were buying in advance because they're worried it's going to sell out, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just going to show up the day I want to see it, and even if that's the day it opens, I'm going to be able to get a seat.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. I'm done now. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest.
Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. This came out in 2005, right? Because I didn't see the first one. But
that's right.
So I did see this one because it came out in 2005.
2003.
Oh, it came out in 2003. Shit.
But
okay.
It was 4th of July, so I'm sure you were involved.
I don't remember anything about this movie.
I never saw the second one. I saw the
sucks.
first one. The first one's good.
I love the first one. The first one had every subverted all the tropes that a movie like this would normally do. And Reese Witherspoon's performance was awesome. And this is totally just a cash-in. Sally Field plays like a representative or a congresswoman, and of course Elle Woods isn't good enough to make it in D.C. because she's too pretty and blah, blah, blah. She's too blonde, and fuck that. It's
now
bad.
they're making a third one.
I heard that.
Yeah. If you thought the second one was a cash grab, what do you think the third one is?
I don't know what the third one would be. Maybe it would be a return to form because this came right on the heels, because Legally Blonde, I think, was 2001, somewhere around there. So this one came right on the heels of that success. So given the fact that they've waited 16 years, maybe they're putting some effort into it. This one, no effort.
I need more people getting angry about these senseless reboots and remakes. Because too many people are just like, maybe it'll be good. Because if you take any one of these announcements as a one-off, then fucking yeah, maybe it'll be good. But mad about you coming back? I don't care if it's fucking Godfather. It's unnecessary horseshit cash grabs. And until we're all angry, they're not going to stop.
Yeah, what's next? Wings?
They probably will. If Tony Shalhoub's looking for work.
Right? I mean...
Monk's not on anymore.
Right. Well, Monk? Come back with Monk?
It's time. It's definitely time.
It's been way too long.
Yes, it's been far too long with no Monk.
And Psych. Then we have Live Free or Die Hard.
Oh, Jesus. Well, this movie is definitely DC as hell.
Yeah.
It's almost all set in DC.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. I mean, yeah, Kevin Smith's funny.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, man, I'm on board with this movie. Like, it's nowhere near as good as the first three. It's not even as good as Die Hard 2, which is definitely the weakest of those first three. Mm-hmm. But I do love Timothy Olyphant in this movie, and I think it's just Die Hardy enough to where before it gets like way over the top in the next movie that I can watch it.
It gets to the point in this, though, that he is officially doing things that John McClane is not known for anymore.
Yeah.
That whole helicopter fucking street thing, whatever where he's rolling down, that was where I clicked off.
At
right
least
there.
In the third one, there's none of that Fast and Furious stuntman bullshit.
Yeah.
There's one moment. I mean, you can see where Die Hard's going. There is one moment, and that's where they jump off the bridge. And that's where they get to that's where it starts getting to John McClane as a superhero moment. But
they've got
the most part, there's not any of that, you know.
No, there's only really one part where he has to shoot himself through his shoulder to shoot the guy who's holding his daughter. Mm-hmm. And that felt like a very John McClane moment because he was just like wincing. He was like, God damn it, nah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. The rest of it is Fast and Furious superhero bullshit. Yeah. But there's just enough charm in this. Justin Long is adorable in this.
Yeah. Is Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she plays the daughter.
Yeah.
And then in the fifth one,
Jai Courtney.
It's Jai Courtney playing. Is it Jai Courtney or is it? There's
a Logan Marshall Green.
It's Logan Marshall Green, isn't it?
It's Jai Courtney.
Is it? For real?
I don't know. It's 100% Jai Courtney.
Okay.
No, wait. It's not Logan Marshall Green.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Jai Courtney.
Okay.
And 99%.
See, I think it's the opposite. But
It is Jai Courtney.
Yeah.
All right.
Phew.
Now that we've solved that,
it's Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
What a shitty movie, though.
Yeah, that one is terrible.
It is a terrible quandary that we live in these times that we can't tell the difference between Jai Courtney and Logan Marshall Green and Tom Hardy sometimes.
That's
right. Yeah, Live Free or Die Hard. Timothy Olyphant is he just sneaky underrated? I think people like him.
Yeah, I think he's great.
Justified was a show that everybody in the world loves. I've never seen it, but
that was I think that was his coming out party for everyone. Mm-hmm. Up until then, I think people in the know liked him, but he was probably that guy from Go or that guy from Live Free and Die Hard for a lot of people until
Scream
Justified.
2 and by the way, if you really want to see an awesome Timothy Olyphant villain performance, watch The Girl Next Door.
Oh yeah,
he's so good in that.
Oh, is he the pimp?
Yeah. There's a point in there where he's trying to get the money back from Emil Hirsch, and they're at the dinner table, and they've excused his parents. Timothy Oliphant's going to show this video that Emil Hirsch is apparently like, a porno that he's in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But before that happens, they excuse the parents out, and they're in the dining room, and he goes, I want that money back or whatever. And Emil Hirsch is like, I'm not going to give it back to you. And he's like, fuck it. He's like, fuck it. And he's like, he remembers that the parents are in the other room. He goes, fuck you.
Oh, Jesus.
I love that.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. Perfect Getaway. Like, he's in a lot of movies that we love, like Go and Perfect Getaway.
Yeah.
And he's just charming, really good actor. Yeah, I dig him.
I'd do him.
Yeah, I'd do him. I'd
for
definitely
sure.
do him.
Then there's Lockout. I've never seen this. Guy Pearce?
Oh,
Space Jail movie?
It, baby. Space Jail. You know it. This movie actually lost a lawsuit to fucking John Carpenter.
Oh, really?
'Cause he accused them of stealing Escape from New York.
Oh, wow.
Now, similarity is they send a prisoner into a prison to extract the president's daughter who's been taken hostage. Here, instead of the prison being the whole city of New York, it is a space station. We now... This is what I love about this movie. We've advanced as a society to where we can build huge floating condominiums, and we use them for prisons. We use them for prisons.
Yeah.
I have a good friend, who would punch me in the face because he hates this movie. Hates it so bad. Hates the accent that Guy Pearce is using. I love it. Now, here's the deal. I imbibed a little one night, and I watched Dread and this movie back to back on Netflix. And I may have never been happier with a double feature in my life.
That's the best.
And everyone I've ever talked to who's seen that movie hates it. And
Really?
I love it. Lost, Maggie Grace is the president's daughter. My date with the president's daughter. And yeah, it's just, if you go in knowing that it's just trashy fun, I think you're going to have a fun time. Still don't know how that lawsuit wins. Like, it's not like the guy's name is, Blake Bliskin or something.
Then we have the aforementioned Mars Attacks.
Oh,
Tim Burton's follow-up to Ed Wood.
It's almost like he said, let's go as far away from that as possible.
Yeah. This has everybody in the world in
It sure does.
There's Glenn Close, Jack Nicholson, there's Natalie Portman, there's Annette Bening, Michael J. Fox, Pierce Brosnan, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yep. Jim
Brown, Pam Grier,
yeah.
Ray J. There's a million people in it. It's based off the old Topps trading cards. This movie is not good at all, but there are some comedic moments in it that are memorable in it. And I believe it has got a cult following since.
I think it had a cult following since day one.
I think it had a cult following before it came out.
Yeah, yeah. Ultimately, this is not like a fun movie to watch or anything like that. It's literally just waiting for those beats, like you always say, the Earth and Mars, you know. And the we come in peace, we are your friends as they're firing at them. But no, I mean this movie is a garbage dump.
I remember the music being pretty fun though.
Yeah, that's Danny Elfman, I think.
It's Danny Elfman almost always. I also remember thinking it was like very Men in Black-y, but this was before Men in Black. I might have thought that after I saw both of them together. I don't know, but I remember liking the music.
Yeah. It's just it's going to more absurd levels. Like he tried this successfully in Beetlejuice and absurdist comedy, and it lands. Every beat of that lands. I think he just went too far on this one, and this is really the line of demarcation of the decline of Tim Burton. None of his movies after this point got anywhere near the levels of the ones that were before this, especially Ed Wood.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that there are a couple that people like to throw in there. I'm not a big fish person, but some people like Big Fish. Some people like Sleepy Hollow. And
but again, it's nowhere near.
There's nothing to what he was doing before this. It's the Danny Elfman connection too. I believe on Ed Wood they had a falling out. Like
really?
It ended up it was not Danny Elfman on Ed Wood.
Ah.
And so it's kind of they sort of reconciled by the time Mars Attacks came out.
Seems like Danny Elfman has falling outs with a lot of people. Because I know that happened with Raimi, too.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe he's not maybe he's a little Chevy Chase-ish.
I don't know. He's brilliant.
He's brilliant. So is Chevy Chase.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it Oingo Boingo that he was a part of? So he probably had a falling out with them too.
Yeah, I mean they pretty much they dissolved.
Yeah. Then we have, I never saw this, the Master of Disguise. Dana Carvey is a master of disguise.
I'll tell you what, I haven't seen this. I saw it in the theater. I was managing a 10 screen. To this day, my wife and I will still say, turtle.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the trailer. That was in the trailer, not because we remember the movie.
It is, what was the, no, it wasn't Opportunity Knocks, or was it Opportunity Knocks that he was in? Mm-hmm. That was his starring vehicle.
Yep.
There was a certain point where Dana Carvey impressions only took you so far.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably Opportunity Knocks. Mm-hmm. And after that, I saw this, but it was not pleasant.
Yeah, I was working. This is my summer of working at Bell Forge Theaters in Antioch. It was like 3 months I worked there, and
you're only shot twice.
Yeah, exactly. I was only shot twice. Correct. But I remember a lot of the employees around there doing that turtle thing.
Only memorable thing from this
over
movie.
and over and over, and we didn't even have the movie. It was the one across the street, the Hickory 8 that had it. So I never saw it.
Apparently, you know how Geico has revived all their old television commercials, right?
Uh-huh.
And they created this archive, vote for your favorite. By the way, from a marketing standpoint, fucking brilliant.
Oh, yeah?
I hate these insurance companies and their commercials, but that's brilliant. But the one with the camel where he's like, Mike, and then he goes, home day. Mm-hmm. My wife was telling me that there's a school system near where we live that had to they had to ban quoting that commercial because when that commercial first came out on every Wednesday, so many kids were doing home day out in the hallway. They literally banned saying words like that.
That's hilarious.
That's crazy to me.
For the record, the pig one is my all-time favorite just because of the surprise involved with it. You had that, I think it's Mike Maglone, who's from those Edward Burns movies that does that. The beginning, does Geico save you a 15% on car insurance? Did the little piggy go wee 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 all the way home? And then it's like wee wee. And that's the last time I may have just busted on a commercial because it was just the surprise factor of that.
Now they've just dumbed it all the way down to somebody will get surprised at something.
Mm-hmm.
What else is surprising?
Yeah.
Saving money on this thing.
Yeah,
Iced tea at a lemonade stand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. One of the many Blu-rays I have in my collection I've never seen. Miss Sloane, Jessica Chastain.
Oh,
movie.
really?
Yeah.
This movie's up your alley,
Yeah.
man. It's she's like a Washington fixer.
Mm-hmm.
She's a lobbyist, and they want to introduce a pro-gun banning, anti-gun bill, and she starts off on one side and then switches to the other. She's awesome in this.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually on Netflix or Amazon Prime too. Gugu Mbatha-Raw is in this. Alison Pill is in this. Michael Stuhlbarg, of course.
Of course.
But it's a really, really good movie.
John Madden of Shakespeare in Love and Best Exotic Marigold Hotel and Proof fame.
Yeah, he's got a weird career.
Yeah, directed this. But yeah, one I've been meaning to watch. I love Jessica Chastain.
Mm-hmm. Also a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
John Madden is the director.
John Madden.
Yes. He's never gotten that, by the way. Never. All-time Frank Capra classic, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Jimmy Stewart is the AOC of the day.
Yes, pretty much.
Wet behind the ears. Everybody's telling him what he needs to do to make it in Washington, but he finds something's going on that's wrong around there.
And he's gonna filibuster.
Yes, and yes, there's a big, huge filibuster scene at the end where he's
where he's telling all the other senators, some of the money's in your house and some of the money's in your house. And some of the money's in your...
Yes, exactly.
I got my
I
wires
remember
crossed.
that. I remember that.
I love the Simpsons spoof of It's a Wonderful
Oh,
Life.
yeah.
What are you doing with my money in your house? Let's just start fighting.
Yeah. I was talking with some friends the other day. The Saturday Night Live thing of It's a Wonderful Life is fantastic
Yes,
too.
I
Have you ever
remember
seen that?
that.
Have you ever seen that, Barrett?
I'm trying to think.
It's the alternate ending to It's a Wonderful Life. And
it's Dana Carvey doing
a spot the fuck on Jimmy Stewart. And there's how at the end of It's a Wonderful Life, they don't ever find out that Potter took the money. And so in the alternate ending, somebody comes in, they said that Potter came in and he deposited exactly $8,000 into his account. And so Jimmy's all right, well, let's go get him. They go in and start beating John Lovitz as Potter. It's the best. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, great movie. The Simpsons also took off on this as well with the Mel Gibson version.
That's right. He throws the American flag through somebody's heart.
Yeah.
His muscles are all rippling and shit.
But a great movie.
Yep.
Then there's Murder at 1600.
Oh,
Holy shit.
wow.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley.
This was the height of Wesley Snipes'. This may have been towards the end of his height, though.
It's definitely post Passenger 57.
This is 97, so yeah, it's definitely...
I don't know if I saw Murder at 1600.
It's perfectly pleasant. It's like
It's a pleasant Murder at 1600?
Exactly. Yeah, they some like junior staffer or somebody gets murdered.
Not the president.
Not the president, actually.
They would have called it an
I'm
assassination.
trying to think if the president actually appears in this. I don't think he does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's a he, of course. But yeah, it's a nice little thing, like cat and mouse type of thing. There's a couple of twists in there. And Wesley Snipes, man, I think is overall underrated because he just became stock action, star. But he's got a few chops.
And
He's playing a Secret Service agent here.
Yes.
Or is he playing
or a detective
PD? Because that's a lot of the movie's conflict is Secret Service interacting with the murder investigator.
Right, yeah. He's on the other side. Yeah. He's a police department.
Okay. I saw this once. I don't remember anything about it.
And yes, Wesley Snipes does have Blade after this, but I think I don't think Blade is necessarily people went to go see it just because of Wesley Snipes. It's there's more of a following to that, but that was definitely the tail end was Blade. But I never saw Murder.
He still talks like he should be Blade again.
Oh, really?
Like on like interviews and social media and whatnot. Like he's still. I think as recently as a couple of years ago, he was publicly lobbying to play Blade in the MCU.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
Well, and it might be awesome if under some with a different little direction.
I don't need him in it. I would love to see a new version of Blade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he still looks the exact same as he did in 1997.
He does. Then we have My Fellow Americans. It's Jack Lemmon, James Garner. What's that guy's name? He's
John Hurt.
John Hurt, because I always get him and John Hurt and William Hurt. But John Hurt.
Amber Heard.
Yeah, and Amber Heard. It's about former presidents, and I can't remember what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I actually talked about this before on the podcast because there's that line at the end because John Hurt's character is an idiot. And at the end, he reveals that he's in on some scheme, and he's like, thought I was stupid, but it was justificade.
Yes.
That's all. That and the scene where Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau
it's James
Garner
yep.
compare the lyrics they both made up.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hail to the chief, because he's the one who needs hailing," or whatever.
That's all I remember. They're on some kind of PR tour to cover up something for this real president or something.
Yeah,
there's Dan Aykroyd.
Oh yes,
there was a revival for Jack Lemmon, James Garner, and Walter Matthau back in the day, where they used to come out with movies every year, sort of geared towards the 50+ set.
Yeah, and they ate that shit up.
Yeah,
too.
man.
Well, and when we stopped getting that is when we started getting the Space Cowboys and going with style.
Bucket
and
list.
We're old in Vegas. And But before then, and it was all on the strength of and goodwill of grumpy old men.
Yeah.
Because none of them. There's one where they're on a cruise out to sea.
Out to sea.
But they
did an Odd Couple too. They did Grumpier Old Men, My Fellow Americans.
They did Gone Fishing.
No, that was Joe Pesci and Danny Glover.
That's
But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
Hey guys, it's Vegas, and we're old.
Yeah. Remember all the fun you had in Lethal Weapon movies with Joe Pesci and Danny Glover?
Yes.
Now they're fishing.
And they're old as fuck.
The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear.
Wow. I didn't know. Okay. Is this the one with the Martha's whatever the birthmark on the ass that looks like
No,
that's the third one, right? Because that's got Anna Nicole Smith
Yeah,
in it.
because that's the one where there's the guy who eventually plays the Harry Potter stepdad.
yes.
Is the German scientist or whatever.
Oh, maybe that is 2.5.
It could
then.
be 2.5. Robert Goulet is in 2.5.
That's the guy, the Harry Potter stepfather, he's doing this presentation and he's reading from what's like a dime store romance novel.
Yeah, because
And he's
everybody's
like-
bored.
Yeah, and he's like, he shoved his purple-headed warrior into a shivering mass of love pudding.
Yeah, yes. Everybody's like asleep at this like conference, and then Drebin gives him this book. But yeah, no, that's one of the funniest parts of that movie. Naked Gun 2.5 is a sort of a downward slide from what we had been getting, but it's still right there where it's still quality wise right there.
Yep.
And then Naked Gun 33 1/3 is horrible.
Yeah.
And like all these like attempts that came out, Fatal Instinct and Spy Hard, and
Dracula, Dead
Wrongfully
Loving It.
Accused. All of those were awful.
The Godfather one.
The Jane Austen's Mafia.
No, yeah.
And some of them had people who had been a part of this team. Pat Proft, I think, was in a part of them. Jim Abrams, who had done Hot Shots, was in some of these. And then there's just some offshoots, like people who weren't involved with
High
it at
School
all.
High.
High School High. I remember that.
You remember
had a great trailer.
That it did. Where somebody had little tiny cars going through their hairstyle.
Yeah.
Remember that SNL skit where Will Ferrell does ringtones as Robert Goulet?
Yes.
Dingle dangle, someone's calling you, Goulet.
This is right up my alley, man. Inject this shit into my veins. I watched this movie. It was just in the VHS like rotation. I watched it a ton. It's so fucking great.
Dude from Harry Potter, Griffith is his last name. Griffiths.
Richard Griffiths.
Richard Griffiths, yeah.
And yes, it's Albert Meinheimer.
Is he related to Rachel Griffiths?
Ooh. Rachel Griffiths is Australian, I think. So I don't know.
That's the same thing.
That's right. We forgot. I forgot about that. We learned that last week.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I remember like sort of liking this one as well. This one's pretty funny. It's not nearly the first one, but it's still pretty good.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember if any, because in the show Police Squad, which they based Naked Gun on, the first Naked Gun has a lot of those same jokes from Police Squad. I don't know if 2.5 does. I feel like it has some of them, maybe.
I never watched that. I really need to, because you said there's only like 8 episodes.
Six episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is funny as shit, though, man. And yes, you have to disregard that O.J. Simpson is in this.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the plot. Well, Goulet is obviously bad guy, but he has like a nuke or something that they have to disarm.
Right.
And of course, they go through that whole, trying to disarm the bomb, cut the right wire, all that, and it ends up they trips over a plug.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Then we have The Net. Girl from the Bus. Sandra Bullock. This is a sort of an early peek, I guess, into something that you can really actually do these days, which is to order everything from the internet and never go outside and all that. That's the basic plot of this, is that she her neighbors have never seen her before. So it's easy to just take her identity and no one knows, no one can verify that it's her.
Yep.
Jeremy Northam's in this too.
Oh, is he really?
Wow. We always have like a sneaky name that comes up way too much.
Yeah.
Every episode.
yeah.
Well, there's actually Dennis Miller's been in several of these movies too.
Yeah. There's a flash drive with this thing called Mozart's Ghost on it. And it's some sort of, I don't remember what it's a MacGuffin essentially.
Yeah.
But she gets I think someone takes it to her and she finds out what it is. And then it's on, like the bad guys start changing, like giving her police records and shit. And she's running around trying to avoid bad guys, and cause she still has the flash drive or whatever.
So she did,
probably a floppy disk back in
1995. Probably. She did Demolition Man in 94, right? 93. Mm-hmm. And then this, and then Speed was the year after.
Speed was 94.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it was Demolition Man, Speed, and then The Net.
Yeah.
So she was established. Of course, she wasn't like the lead on those two before, but like she's pretty established.
Yeah,
by this point.
Speed was the movie that got Sandra Bullock into the bloodstream essentially, and that's the reason. I mean, the Net would have never happened if it wasn't for Speed.
It probably shouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
I don't remember this being very good.
Yeah, it's not.
No,
it's not.
No, it's terrible.
No,
not only because none of what she does in that movie was actually possible at the time. Again, it's weird though how movies do this, isn't it? Because I remember this vividly when this movie came out. It was preposterous. Preposterous that someone could stay in and literally order everything they needed off the internet.
Yeah.
Now, not only can I do that, I can get it all from one place. I can get it all from Amazon if I need to.
Oh, yeah.
But back then it was ludicrous.
Yeah, at the beginning of the movie, I think she orders a pizza.
She does.
She gets like all sorts of just like equipment and shit, and never has to leave house once.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And now it's totally
you can totally do it. Back then, though, it was very preposterous, and now it is not.
Yep.
But that doesn't make the movie good.
Nope.
Then we have Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian. I'm trying to remember if I've seen this one. I've seen at least the first two. Is this the third one?
This is the second one.
This is the second one? Okay, so I've seen this one then. Yeah. Yeah, Night at the Museum, the bullshit that's in the museum comes to life at night.
Mm-hmm. I actually like the first one.
Yeah, the first one's okay.
I mean, Ben Stiller had two trilogies of comedies that were totally average, and we all just looked the other way.
Are you talking about Meet the Parents was the other one? Yeah.
Yeah. The first one's okay.
Yeah. The
first one's not even great, but it's okay.
Right.
Same with Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
First one's okay.
This is it's not terrible, I think, because of the quality of the people that are involved. Like, everybody is a super talented comedian in this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it doesn't have, quote-unquote, the magic from the first movie. It's way too expansive. There's a lot of retread beats and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would avoid. But I do like that first one.
Then there's a third one after that.
Yeah, The Secret of the Tomb.
Ooh. Yeah, Christopher Guest. Bill Hader's in this.
Yeah, a lot of people. Robin Williams, yeah.
Robin Williams.
Plays Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah, the first, like you said, the first one's okay. After that, you're just retreading everything. At that point. Then we have Nixon, Anthony Hopkins in the Oliver Stone. This one is Anthony Hopkins is good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think anybody's bad. I remember David Hyde Pierce being in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was like my secondary layer of interest.
Mm-hmm. Joan Allen plays
Mrs. Nixon.
Mrs. Nixon.
This movie's fucking long.
Yeah.
It is way too long. I actually like this movie. Like you said, Anthony Hopkins makes it watchable, but it doesn't need to be 192 minutes.
No.
I mean,
it has some good moments in it. Oliver Stone can't help himself back in the 90s. He has to have some sort of conspiracy theory things.
Yep.
Like, there's a point where there's a bunch of protesters at the Lincoln Memorial, and I know one of the protesters is Joanna Going, who's another one another actress that I thought might be a big deal someday. But Joanna Going is one of the protesters, and she goes, "Why don't you change this and that and whatever?" And Nixon doesn't have an answer, and she goes, "Oh my God, you don't have the power to do it, do you?" It's like they've already gotten to you or something like that. It's like a big conspiracy. But I do love that line where he's going. It's towards the end, I think, where he sees the JFK painting, and he goes, they look at you and they see who they want to be, and they look at me and they see who they are.
Yeah.
Now, I do love that line.
Yep.
Well, it's a great line, and I think that's probably true of Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Frost Nixon casually recently. I ended up watching that 2 days ago for the second time. And Langella's great in that movie, but he plays Nixon that way as well. Like he just, the man never saw himself as the problem.
Yeah.
Like even at the end, like, cause he's like, he sees this interview as a chance to set the record straight.
Yeah.
And not, anyway, it's a great film, by the way.
Completely pathological. I mean, the guy, like you said, we were making comparisons to the current president, but he's a different type of cat. Like, who would do this? Who would say these things and record these things? Who would be this vindictive and also have a likability enough to get elected twice?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Then we have the Omen. I'm assuming that's the original and the remake. I don't know if the remake was set in Washington.
I think the remake was in California. Or something.
Oh yeah, the remake classically decided to come out on June 6th, 2006.
Yeah, there you go.
666.
Yeah.
That was my total at Starbucks the other day, and the gal no shit said, "Well, we're all going to hell anyway."
Yeah, nice.
I actually didn't remember that Richard Donner.
Yeah,
directed
Richard
this.
Donner, man.
What a weird.
This is one of his. It might be his first big movie.
Yeah.
Everything before this. I remember listening to the Malton podcast with him on it, and he was talking about his rise up and everything, and he's talking about how he was doing some TV show, and it might have been Twilight Zone or something. I don't know. It was some decently big TV show, and Bette Davis, towards the end of her career, was in.
Oh, really?
In an episode that he directed, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And someone wanted to kick him off of the set, and Bette Davis said, "That's my director," and kept him on.
Awesome.
I hope that story that I just relayed is true, because
that's interesting.
I believe that's what I heard on that Malton podcast.
He directed the Nightmare at 20,000 Feet original
really?
episode.
The William Shatner?
Yeah. By the way, Twilight Zone's gotten awful reviews. Have you seen this?
Okay. So when Dicer's tweet was, "Don't let the first episode keep you from watching the second, because the second one's actually pretty good." I was like, okay, maybe I'm out. I'll wait and see what everybody says once they've seen the whole thing. It's not getting raves, but I also don't think it's fair, because I don't think Peele directed these.
No.
I think
he
he's
didn't
just
direct
kind
any
of playing the Hitchcock role of overseeing the tone, like he's an executive producer. So I've been a little frustrated at some of the headlines that seem to want to take glee in the fact that after the success of Us, he stumbled.
Yeah, what's up with that? Like, I think it was EW that had a scathing review of the Twilight Zone, so much so that you start reading in like an agenda to this, where it's like,
it's the way it is, isn't it? I mean, it's true. We love propping people up, and we love taking them down.
Yeah. It seems like Jordan Peele should be impervious.
But of all the people, you feel like I root for that guy,
totally.
not I hope he stumbles.
Yeah. He's close to Tom Hanks in my view in terms of not only how much I like him, but what a good guy in real life he seems to genuinely be.
Yeah.
Everybody that's worked with him on these first two movies he's directed, they
loves him,
glowing about, not like in a false praise kind of way, but just like he's Aaron Dicer. He's really that nice of a guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Aaron's going to be compared to Jordan Peele. He just popped his buttons.
I don't know. I mean, it's obvious that I heard that he had directed some Twilight Zone episodes, but I don't think that Bette Davis was ever in a Twilight Zone. Maybe she was, but it was some TV show, and that's sort of what got him.
He did a lot of TV.
But the Omen is still considered one of those all-time horror classics. I've only seen it one time. Gregory Peck is in it, and it does have a famous scene where the woman in the church or whatever is like, "Damien, I'm here for you," or "I'm doing this for you," and she kills herself or whatever. But that's all I really kind of remember about the Omen.
Oh, this is really good. This is more in the Rosemary's Baby psychological horror than it is with there's a couple of gruesome death scenes, one where a guy falls over the landing on a 2-story house. But yeah, it's more like the creepiness of this kid and the implications of what he represents, the Antichrist. That's unsettling. I really like this movie.
I've never seen
It's so weird because I always talk about Richard Donner being shouty and being a loud director. This is not a loud movie at all.
Of course, this is before he's established. Too,
Right.
So. Then we have Olympus Has Fallen. We'll also just go ahead and talk about White House Down while we're at it.
Yeah, might as well.
All
All right,
Same-
Olympus Has Fallen has Gerard Butler,
Yes.
right? Okay. And the other one has Aaron Eckhart?
No, it
Or are they
has-
both?
Well, I don't know. One of them does. I was about to get to Channing Tatum is in the other one because you were talking about Gerard Butler, and we can get to the secondary characters in a minute. But Aaron Eckhart is definitely in Olympus Has Fallen.
And he is the president, right?
Yes.
Morgan
Yes.
Freeman is like the Secretary of State or
Yes.
something. Yeah.
Yes,
But more importantly, does it matter?
no, it does not.
I mean, the exact same shit. Am I correct? Like, the exact same shit happens in both movies,
It's
right?
Well, no, not exactly. Olympus Has Fallen is an all-out siege, kidnap the president,
right.
that type of thing. White House Down, I'm trying to remember. It's not that exact same thing, but it is still kind of exactly that same thing.
Okay.
Let me jog
Olympus
my
Has
memory.
Fallen is an assault on the White House.
Right.
White House Down is an assault on the White House.
Okay. One or both of them are like an actual R rating, right?
The Olympus Has Fallen is because that movie's fucking bloody, man. They're like at the very beginning, there's people getting mowed down like Saving Private Ryan. But White House Down is more of a coup attempt from I think James Woods. And I believe and this is why it's always going to be confusing because I did that mashup video and Angela Bassett's in another one. I believe Angela Bassett's in Olympus Has Fallen because I think Gerard Butler's trying to appeal to her to get I'm trying to remember what the job is.
Seen them both.
But like the reason why I confuse them is that I've mashed them up in my mind and I did that contact thing that went in there.
Oh, that's funny.
And had them talking to each other.
Yes, she's in Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah. Like if you give me enough time, I can knock it down. But Jamie Foxx is in White House Down. And Channing Tatum is the guy who wants a Secret Service job. And they don't want to give it to him. He's like the DiCaprio into The Departed or something, you know, where they're just like, no, you're not meant for this. But then the shit goes down and he shows how good he is. And Jamie Foxx is the president.
Right.
White House Down.
That didn't get a sequel, right?
No.
Just Olympus or
Olympus Has Fallen became London Has Fallen, yeah.
If I don't know this, but I bet you anything they're working on a third one, like Dubai Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Well, that
Tokyo.
London Has Fallen didn't do anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they would be an interesting thing to talk about why that one didn't do well. There's a lot of these sequels that are curious why they didn't do well, and London Has Fallen could be just that people weren't relating it to Olympus Has Fallen. Even though Gerard Butler's in it, it still has the Has Fallen in it. But I think sometimes certain movies are so singular they don't need sequels, and Olympus Has Fallen is one of those. You can't make a sequel that people are like, oh, well, this will be completely different. It's kind of like Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
You know, Deadpool's so singular that there's really hardly anything you can do in the second one. We'll talk about it. It's kind of fun, but Olympus Has Fallen is Die Hard.
Yeah.
It's basically Die Hard, and it does it pretty well.
I remember I'm almost positive that's the one that I really like, the Olympus Has Fallen.
Oh, yeah. White
Even
House
though
Down is trash.
It really is bad, right?
Yeah.
But it says something that Olympus Has Fallen is Gerard Butler's least insane movie.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That says something because it's a pretty insane movie.
Yeah.
It is.
Then we have Outbreak.
Yeah.
Based on, is this based? No, this wasn't based on. There was a book called The Hot Zone, because I think they were trying to make another virus outbreak movie that same year and decided not to. And I don't know if it's because Outbreak didn't do anything. I think it did a decent amount.
This one's like Ebola, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a super deadly virus that's been cultivated and it gets out.
Oh, it's not literally Ebola.
No. Well, Motaba.
So you have, was it Dustin Hoffman, Morgan Freeman, Kevin
Rene
Spacey's
Russo.
in this, Rene Russo, yeah.
And the monkey from Friends.
Yes.
Wolfgang Peterson directed this one, too.
Yeah.
I like this movie a lot.
Yeah,
Oh.
the last time I saw it was when it came out.
I don't want to have anything to do with. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. Does this freak you out? This
is
subject
as
matter?
scary as sinkholes. Yes.
Did you see Contagion?
No, and I don't want to. Pandemic
Contagion
movies
is even worse.
I don't like horror movies, but I know ghosts aren't real. Pandemics could be real.
Yeah.
It's scary as shit.
This one's pretty scary. I think Contagion is even scarier to me. But this is my type of thing. I love movies like this.
I had a realization the other day. My wife and I were going for a walk. I think I depressed her because I was talking about global warming and how they keep saying, we've only got so many years left to act or we're screwed. And I was like, we're pretty much not going to act in time. However, we end up not acting. That's what's going to be the result, is we don't act in time. So probably a generation, 2 or 3 generations down the line from me, is going to be faced with catastrophic global warming.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not just going to sit around and wait. They're not going to sit around and wait for whatever the global warming impact is, whether it's ice caps melting and causing flooding or temperatures rising and food sources dwindling. They're going to fucking panic.
Yeah.
They're going to panic, riot, loot, kill, murder. Like, it's whatever destroys humanity. Humanity might destroy humanity first before that thing has a chance to finish its job.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I bet you did depress the fuck out of her.
I'm just saying, how if you were a part of that generation and you knew you were going to be killed by the Earth,
Yeah.
and not like any normal death,
Yeah.
you wouldn't live a normal life just waiting for it to happen. You wouldn't go to the office and crunch numbers.
Probably not.
You wouldn't go to the store and trade money for goods. You'd just take.
You watched Newsroom, right?
Yes.
There was that one episode where the guy who played Toby on The Office came on for a guest appearance, and Jeff Daniels interviews him, and this guy is a global warming guy, and he's and Jeff Daniels says, so if we start doing this and that now, we can probably stave off global warming. And Toby, the guy who plays Toby, is like, oh, that would be awesome, but we're way too late for that. And he's just like, every answer is like, he's like, oh, well, that would be wonderful, but we just can't do that. Yeah, Outbreak. I don't remember. The only thing I really remember about this movie is that I was working at my first theater at the time, and there was a week where it made $0 every day.
Wow.
Wow.
And it's not like there's something unusual about this movie that would have made that the case. I mean, it made, I think, like $60-70 million in the U.S., and it probably made double that worldwide somewhere. But like, I just remember, because were you ever in an era where a company would call your theater and to ask you the grosses?
Yeah.
So like, I went through on a Thursday just before we got rid of Outbreak and told them that it was 0, and they always say no one showed up, and I was like, yes, no one showed up. And they said, by the way, you're showing 0 for this movie for the entire week. Is that accurate? And I looked at the list, and sure enough, 0,
Wow.
0. You know, it may have made something. I don't know. Actually, I'm trying to remember if it made even anything on the weekend. Even I don't think it did. But that was insane. The Pelican Brief.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This is Grisham Land. Julia Roberts, Denzel Washington. I don't remember anything else.
It's a brief about pelicans.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
This is an interesting, I was reminding myself about this movie because I saw it when it came out, really enjoyed it. Of course, I was comparing it to The Firm because this was the one that came out after that. And 2 Supreme Court justices are killed under suspicious circumstances. And this Julia Roberts character writes a brief about it, who I think she's in law school, writes a brief about it, what she thinks is going on, and inadvertently knows exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so Denzel is like this news reporter, and he's trying to get the story out, but being chased by nefarious people.
Mm-hmm.
Also known for this movie for having one of the best facial expression reactions to an explosion ever. And that's Julia Roberts.
Really?
I just remember it being in the trailer because she has this, this like double take of shockedness. I'm going to look up a video of that and send it to you. I already forgot what the other video I was going to look up was.
Okay, so the firm was Sidney Pollack. I think this is Alan J. Pakula who did this.
You got it.
Okay.
Good call.
Yeah. And then after that, it was Joel Schumacher did Time to Kill, and suddenly he was Grisham's golden boy.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember getting a speeding ticket on the night that I went to watch this.
Nice.
I don't
New
remember
Year's
anything
Eve.
about this movie except that.
Yeah, it's
Double.
pretty good. What I enjoyed about it was that I don't think they forced any romantic tension between Denzel and Julia Roberts. I don't think and of course it's based on the book, but I don't think they manufactured that, even though it's two of the most attractive people in the world at the time. So yeah, it was very cool.
Is Scott Glenn in this?
John Hurd is.
Wow. Now he's competing with Jeremy Northam for
Yes.
this week's friend of the show.
No, he's
All right.
not.
I don't know why I was
Sam
thinking-
Shepard.
Sam Shepard. That's who I'll get. Sam Shepard and Scott Glenn mixed
Yeah,
up.
they're
And
both
William
in,
Atherton.
both in Right Stuff, and they both play characters that are not the
Right name.
corresponding characters. No, actually, it was. I forgot. It was Schumacher did The Client, and then he did Time to Kill.
Oh, The Client came out before Time to Kill.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
in fact, The Client may have even come out before Pelican Brief did. I'm trying to remember if that happened. Because Pelican Brief came out late. No, Pelican Brief came out late '93. So and then Client came out in '94.
Yeah.
Then we have Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah.
Barrett and I saw this as a part of the riff tracks.
Oh my God, it was hilarious.
And that was a great experience.
Had you ever seen the movie before?
Never
then?
had seen it before.
Have you seen this?
No, I just love that Seinfeld when they're trying to go to it and they can't. They have to keep rescheduling. Jerry's like pleading with Elaine. It's like, this isn't plans 1 through 9, 1 through 8. This is plan 9. This is the one that worked.
This is, of course, the subject of Ed Wood, who
Mhm.
is Plan 9. Yeah, Plan 9 from Outer Space is definitely uniquely bad.
It is. It is. It's The Room level bad.
Yeah, back in the 50s or whatever.
Back in the 50s. It's cool watching this movie now, knowing what we know from Ed Wood, the movie itself. I don't know how historically accurate that movie was, but just seeing like his glee and his enthusiasm and his chutzpah, that then when you watch this, it's a little easier to take how terrible it is, because you know the motivation behind it was pure.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. There again, you have to have enthusiasm, but no talent whatsoever
Yep.
to make a movie like this.
Yep.
And Bela Lugosi, who had died, in the middle of filming, and then they get this guy's dentist to do to put a cover, and it's like, and there's not even. I mean, even though his face is covered up, I mean, that's not Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that, somebody who wants to make a movie that bad would say, nobody's going to care about that.
Yep.
That's what's crazy.
Same with Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah, and the guy there's that the Riff Tracks guys made a big deal, and this is and rightfully so, of the guy pulling out his gun and pointing it at everybody,
Just willy-nilly.
just kind of like talking to people with his gun out, and apparently that guy did that on purpose, because he asked for direction as to what to do, and he was just like, all right, fuck it.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Then we have the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes, which is his Plan 9 from Outer Space, I think.
Oh boy.
Man, there ain't nothing redeemable about this movie.
I object.
Uh-oh.
Estella Warren?
Yeah.
Like, for real?
I think she's pretty.
I do too, but when he said that as a joke, you answered seriously.
That's because that's what I was going to say.
Yeah?
Was that she's the exception.
Okay,
She's likable.
no, I agree.
Everything else is trash.
She was supposed to be a thing there for a while.
She really was.
Was she in Rollerball? She was in one of those movies
I
at the
don't
big,
know.
like where
I think
she's like in Get Carter or something. I can't remember what it was. I'm gonna have to look up Estella Warren because she used to be a thing.
It's like the worst thing you could have to do. It sucks to look up Estella Warren. Then
Oh,
you're going to
I
end
know.
up seeing pictures.
I hate it.
I think beauty and talent are going in opposite directions for Estella Warren.
Was she one of those that was a model first?
Yeah.
Because I don't think her acting was very good in this movie.
No.
She was in Driven.
Which is another Stallone movie.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I was thinking of, was Driven.
I forgot all about that movie.
Yeah.
Formula One movie with Stallone.
Yeah.
And it's just evaporated from my mind.
I actually went back and tried to watch this again and made it through the whole thing. And it's shocking how abysmal this movie is. It's, I don't know,
Well,
everything about it just rubs me the wrong way.
And this is a case again of Tim Burton saying, getting a job and saying, I'm not a fan of the original material or the original movie. In this case, he tries to make this ending exactly like the book's ending, which is what happens in the book. It's he goes back. Well, it's exactly what they're trying to do in this movie, but the way it's presented is like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But he's like, I don't like the original, like every movie that Tim Burton has done based off of some original material. He's like, I wasn't a big fan of that, but now I'm the director of the remake. So it was like Batman. It was Dark Shadows. It was this movie. What else was that he not a big fan of? There's several of those movies in his filmography where he's like, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He didn't he didn't like the original of that either. So yeah, he must be the perfect guy to direct these.
Apparently Dumbo is not doing very well either.
50 million opening weekend.
Well, no, financially, just critically, it's not doing very well.
This is, such a joyless, and Mark Wahlberg.
He can't act. I don't understand these performances that we get, The Happening and this. Like, he can't act. We've seen him act. He did Boogie Nights before this. He did Fear before
The
this.
Departed.
The Departed.
The Departed wasn't before this, but we've seen him.
God damn it.
Yeah.
You're right. Joyless, completely joyless.
Yeah, this is there's a long list of 2001 movies or movies in this era that try to be, they all have the same track. The Driven that I'm talking about has that same sort of, it seems exciting, but it's boring as fuck, or it's bad as fuck, or whatever. It's not, I don't know what it is about this era.
Yeah.
There's
stanky.
After a year like 1999, at 2000 and 2001, just decides to vomit that shit up.
By the way, I tweeted about this, I think yesterday, but like the hot takes of 1999 are starting to wear on me because we've already been through, like, we were only 3 months into the year and it's all like, 1999 was 20 years ago. You remember that?
No.
There were some really good movies.
Yeah. There's a book coming out that I'm definitely going to get when it comes out in a couple weeks. I think it's called Best Year Ever. And I read an excerpt about Fight Club, and I'm definitely going to read that whole book.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it about 99 or is it
about 99? They just got an excerpt from the Fight Club section.
Oh, I see.
And talking about how that movie was made and who was up for the roles and how they what the process was of making that movie and how they got Fincher involved.
I wonder if I read an article 3 days ago that seemed like a mini oral history of Fight Club. They had Fincher interviews, and he even talked about he went to the studio and told them they could make it two ways: big budget with major stars, or shoot it on VHS, like literal VHS. I want to see that.
Yeah.
We're never going to see it, but that is creatively a very interesting. I love Fight Club. I'm not upset with how it turned out, but yeah, and apparently he had some headbutts with Edward Norton.
That's the article that I read.
Okay.
I don't remember the headbutts with Edward Norton part.
Not literal, but just
I know, but I don't remember that part of the article.
Oh, he said that Norton and he both saw it as a comedy, but when they got to set, he found out that Norton saw it as a more broad comedy, whereas Fincher saw it as a more subversive comedy.
Okay.
And there were frequent arguments on set about it.
Now, I could have completely read over that part, but whatever it is, there's a book coming out that's going to cover all of 1999, which is a great year to do this on. And I read the Fight Club one, and the thing, the Fincher thing that's awesome to me, that how Fox ends up getting Fincher after he disowned Alien 3 and had such a horrible time on that movie. And they didn't think they were going to get it. Fincher was hot shit at that point when Fight Club comes around, and he's like, I don't know if I can do that with Fox. But Fox had new management. So.
Interesting.
I would read the fuck out of that book.
Yeah, I'll have to give you guys the article that was passed along to me. Then we have The Post, Steven Spielberg's movie about the
Panama Papers.
Pentagon Papers.
Panama Papers. Pentagon, Panama.
I was like something Vietnam, something.
Have you guys watched this like a second time?
No,
just the once.
I wonder if it gets better on repeat.
I hope it does.
I hope so too.
I just kind of thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Spotlight is much more ripping for me and moving, and not in terms of moving emotionally, but momentum.
Mm-hmm.
The Post was a little slow for me. I thought the performances were good.
Yeah. It was just cookie cutter Spielberg stuff, right?
Yeah. There's parts though. I mean, it just doesn't feel like a Spielberg movie at all. Tom Hanks plays Ben Bradley in this, whereas Jason Robards plays Ben Bradley in All the President's Men. So it's an interesting sort of, I guess, almost serves as a prequel to All the President's Men, because this is the story before the story. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting in that case, but that's the problem with this movie, is that I just keep thinking All the President's Men is a better movie. All the President's Men is a way better movie. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's got more compelling subject matter as well, although this should have more compelling subject matter. Because this is the whole reason why we went to Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got, the element of being Meryl Streep being the first female editor of the Post. And you've got all this background. You've got all these wonderful performers, and it just gets mired.
Or is she the owner?
She's the owner.
Yeah, she's the owner.
Okay, because Hanks is the editor.
He's the editor.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, Ben Bradley is the editor. That they do make mention of her in All the President's Men, because there's that part where they're saying you get the titty caught and the blah 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 whatever, and he goes, well, cut the word titty out and then send it to the press or whatever. And they go, why? And he goes, because we're a family newspaper. But they said, but there's in the middle of that scene, they said something about her, the Meryl Streep's character in I can't remember her name.
Catherine Graham,
and whoever is yelling at Woodward or Bernstein or whatever says something about her. And Jason Robards is like, I really said that about Mrs. Graham. But it feels like it should be way more. It needs to have a director who's been in this territory before.
Yeah.
This movie is maybe too small for Spielberg. Is that possible?
No, you're absolutely right. Who's the guy that did Spotlight and did The Wire
Tom
stuff?
McCarthy.
Tom McCarthy. He would have been perfect for this.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I'm not trying to pigeonhole him into publishing stuff, but
he would somebody like him or the other guy in The Wire, Clark something, who played the editor in that one season of The Wire that was the newspaper one.
Or even Ron Howard. Did you ever see The Paper?
Yeah, Paper was good.
That's a pretty good newsroom flick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Clark Johnson is that who you're talking about?
I think it is Clark Johnson. Either one of those two guys would have been perfect for this, and I feel like it needs more of a conspiratorial tone, sort of an investigative tone. This is Spielberg kind of being like, this is one of these moments in history that we need to talk about, and we have Tom Hanks and we have Meryl Streep together, and it's too much. It's too much, too big.
Yep, I agree.
Then we have Private Parts. I love Private Parts.
Yeah. This is a really, really good movie, isn't it?
Yeah. By the way, get that sound clip of me saying I love Private Parts. Howard Stern. It's mainly New York, but his career starts off in Washington, and that's where he gets the name recognition enough to become a drive time DJ in New York. Based on his autobiography. But this movie is just I haven't seen it in a long time, but this is Paul Giamatti's breakout performance.
Yeah.
And I still to this day will just casually refer to people, you goddamn motherfuckers. But yeah, Paul Giamatti plays the NBC like exec or head of the radio who can't take Howard Stern's antics and everything. And again, never have understood this. You know who you're getting before you even get, like, I guess the point of the movie is they felt like they could ring him in somehow, and like, you know, that stuff you did in Washington was all good and everything, but here in New York, you're gonna shape up. And that's the whole sort of conflict of that movie, is that he keeps going over the line in a way that you shouldn't be able to get in trouble for, but he was getting in trouble for a while.
Yep.
You know what's weird is that he definitely had a last laugh, by the way. But like millions and millions of people still listen to his show every day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I know any of them.
Oh, really?
I don't think I do. Do you listen every day?
I used to, back when I had like the portable Sirius thing like on my car. I had a pretty long commute, so I would listen to him quite a bit. But I haven't done it in years. I don't even know if he's doing daily anymore.
And my point is not, I think he does. My point is not to put him down or to put down his audience. My point is that we live in this era with so much content and so many people that something can be massively popular and still not really ever hit the mainstream radar.
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah.
And
it's his fans are fervent too.
Yeah.
They still yell at golf tournaments, whatever the fuck that
Baba Booey.
Baba Booey.
Yeah. But like Jimmy Kimmel is starstruck anytime he's around Howard Stern.
Mm-hmm.
David Letterman was always a big fan. Like he's just got this sect of people that, you know, look at him like a deity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's funny. It's a funny show.
I don't listen to Howard Stern a lot, but the stuff that you guys are speculating on, yes, he has a show every day.
Okay.
I think Monday through Friday, and then they have the repeats of it all throughout the day. And the thing about Howard Stern, and I don't know how he's got this ability. Some people just have this kind of talent. He gets people at ease, and they talk about things they normally wouldn't.
Exactly.
And that's where he gets a lot of his draw.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the draw was never like porn stars and all this other extracurricular that he always. And he used to have a show on E too that they heavily edited down. And I used to watch that all the time. But like when people come in for interviews, he would just kind of like, I don't know what it is. I don't even know how to, you know, condense it, but
he's a spectacular interviewer.
He's absolutely phenomenal. Finds a way to get people to say the shit you would never get him to say.
Which is insane considering you walk into that studio knowing that millions of people are listening, but he'll break it down to where I guess it'll feel like you're the only two people in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're right. I mean, the stuff that he got from, for better or for worse, from Trump, about his daughter. He said he had a recent interview with Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins where he admitted to stuff that he's never admitted to.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. That's probably my favorite part. You know, they've got like their own like language and dialogue and stuff like that, but that's definitely my favorite part.
That's the kind of the stupid thing about Private Parts is showing all the different times where you have like a porn star on or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you're getting to show the things that actually happened in studio, but it's still radio.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these things that you're declaring this big thing is still audio, you know? So whatever. But that said, this is how you do a biopic.
Yes, it is.
You don't really think of it as one.
So what you're saying is cast the real person as the lead.
Well, you may have to have a more interesting life, or have a whole bunch of funny things and interesting things happen to you. You know, when you watch something like The Dirt, like I think we all pretty much knew this is exactly how Motley Crue was. There's no revelations going on in that, and they try their damnedest in that movie.
They sure do,
to try to show like, boy, were they fucking, but yeah, oh boy, were they taking drugs? You know, and it you know, it's too much. Our bar is already all the way up on this. With Howard Stern, I don't know. I think it's more interesting to see how somebody rose to his level the way he did it, because they showed his early bad shows in there, and it's hilarious how they show that. There's just something about the movie that I really dig.
Yep. And
again, Paul Giamatti.
That's right.
Fucking great.
That's right. Pig vomit.
Then we have The Purge, election year. I personally think all the purges have started to go downhill from the first one, and the first one is not great. But people love The Purge election year.
I really like it.
And I'm okay with it. It's like the next one after this, the first Purge. Oh my God, it's so bad. This one though definitely has some good.
How many are there?
There's 4.
And then a show that's running now?
Yes.
Yikes. See, that's a universe. I didn't realize it was that big.
Yeah, I mean, that's over purging. Like, there's just...
Right?
We get the conceit, right? And it worked well. I think you can frame this in 2 different ways. Like, it worked well as like a house invasion or a home invasion thriller, which was the first one.
Yep.
And then a more global societal impact, which is this one. And the second one, I don't really care that much about.
I think that the election year thing is good because it does sort of it may parallel what was going on during this that particular election year. But like I would like to, and I thought that was fine. Totally fine. I don't like it as much as the first one, but I'd like, and I'm sure they've either done this on the show or they're going to make a movie like this, but I would like to see something where it's out in the country. Because I feel like the stuff that they're actually talking about in these movies would be better served if it was set in the South or something like that.
Yep.
Or just, I mean, I would have, if I would go back in time and I had control of the franchise, it would all be the same Purge. We would just see a different location and group of people.
Yeah.
So the first one would be the Ethan Hawke one. Was it Ethan Hawke?
Yeah.
And then the second one would go to the Deep South. And then the third one could be some like Mormon cult in the mountains. Or, I don't know. Just keep showing us how different the Purge looks in different places with different makeup of people. And never mind.
No. I like that idea a lot. Because then you don't have to progress that story in any way. You don't have to come to some sort of natural end. Election year with Elizabeth Mitchell is playing. I love Elizabeth.
She's
Mitchell.
pretty.
Yeah. She's playing the sort of the anti-Purge candidate in this. And of course she gets caught up in the whole thing, gets kidnapped and all that. But I do like that sort of that message that there are people out there that want to fight and try to get this, to get this done with. Unlike, I don't know. I have the same issue I have with Hunger Games here. If
you just want the Purge to be the Purge.
If you're in a world with the Purge, you might as well just, life sucks. There's a Purge every.
Yeah, I think they have equal doses of both, of the, really reveling in the masks and the craziness and the kills, and then also trying to have this, there is a resistance type of thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think they kind of overdo it. Well, I think they overdo it on the second one, but I think they reach a nice balance.
They do have they have like a message sort of in that third one and everything. So it makes it way more palatable than the second one. So maybe I'm wrong about it being steadily declining. I think this one is better than the second.
Yeah, I think so.
And then we might as well go ahead and talk about Quiz Show and round it off. Quiz Show is fantastic. It's in that 1994 year that so many good movies came out. Robert Redford directed this. John Turturro, Ray Fiennes, Rob Morrow in a terrible Boston accent. But
David Paymer finally not getting shit on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Hank Azaria is his buddy.
Their 1-2 punch is phenomenal. The way they play off of each other. And we get a couple different scenes. We get a couple scenes with them and Herbert and a couple scenes with them and Ray Fiennes. And you can tell that this is an act that is well oiled. Like they have run this game many, many times before, and it just feels like how it probably was back then.
Yeah.
I guess the DC is for what? The Senate hearings?
The Senate hearings, yeah.
Because otherwise it's New York mostly, right?
Yes, it is New York. Because John Turturro, who is the champion of the show 21 at the beginning, actually just walks from the studio to his neighborhood in Queens.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Hey, Herb, how's it going?" And so Herb Stempel is the champion, and then they find Charles Van Doren, who was the Van Doren family was an actual, like, everybody knew these people. They are wealthy socialites. And Charles Van Doren, Ray Fiennes, comes in, and he just thinks it's going to be kind of fun to play in a quiz show. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's a professor, and he doesn't think there's anything wrong with the show. But then they put him through this trial and this sort of these test questions, and they said, "All right, you're going to be up against Herb Stempel," and then they ask him just before that, What if we gave you the answers beforehand? And then he's like, "Oh no, that'd be kind of dishonest. I don't think I could do that." And he's like, "Was that part of the test?" Yes, you passed. You passed. And so then he gets on the show against Herb Stempel, and Herb has been told to take a dive on the Marty question. And they give Van Doren, without his knowledge, a question he definitely answered in the test questions as his winning thing. And then it's an interesting look, right? Once you've won and you've got this money and adoration and everything, do you say, no, I don't deserve this, they gave me a question, or do you just keep doing it? It's especially a guy like him who's already got the money and he can already get women, and he can that's a fascinating aspect of a character to think about. Like maybe the one thing he's always had is the shadow of his father. Yeah. And as they explore that in the movie.
They do. And even, I think, celebrity.
Yeah.
Because even though his family is known and his name is known, he's not a celebrity. People aren't, until he starts winning, and they have that moment where he pulls up to school in the car and the kids aren't out of class yet, so he waits and pretends to tie his shoe. Yeah. And then they get out of class and he gets out of the car because he wants that attention. He's come to crave it. And it doesn't take that much time. And I think that's why this movie is relevant today, because you see with this boom of reality shows where people are celebrities for merely being a drunken asshole on television every week. I don't know. I think this movie still has a lot to say, and is relevant beyond just that quiz show scandal.
By the way, as an aside, if you want to ever get unnecessarily, inexplicably angry, watch a trailer for MTV Siesta Key.
Oh, I've actually seen episodes of that show.
You've seen that show?
Yes.
I think I've seen parts of that show, but when I watch Epic Awesome Videos, they always play commercials of it, and I'm just like, I want everyone in this show to die.
Well, here's the deal. You know what this is, too. This is how this world works, by the way. One of the girls on that show, her dad created that show.
Oh, okay.
And her dad funds that show and went to MTV and said, "Listen, my daughter is hot. She has dozens of hot friends. They're all fucking and drinking.
Yeah.
What if we film that and I get rich?" And MTV was like, "We love that. We love everything about that."
Hot, fucking, drinking.
Like, because, okay, see, and I'm on record for loving some of this shit. I love me the real world. I'm going to put it down even while I eat it up. So, take what I say with a grain of salt. But the show I was talking about last week with the sparkling on the lady parts, this show is called Vanderpump Rules. Have you ever seen this show?
Yeah.
This is on its 6th or 7th season. And these people are waiters and bartenders at one specific restaurant owned by one of the characters from the Housewives show.
Yeah.
So she got famous from the Housewives show, started a spinoff about the people who work at her restaurant.
Yep.
But the way these people talk in the real world, not on the show. On the show, they talk like regular people. They don't drink and fight all the time. But in the real world, they talk like they think
they're hot shit.
They're Leonardo DiCaprio. Like their fame was earned in any other way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, we've gotten way off
We
track.
have, but I still want to continue talking about it.
Let's do it.
No, there's all the stuff that's in that trailer for the Siesta Key thing is all out of context. Everybody who's acting in that, everybody who's saying whatever they're saying in that show might be totally justified in saying it, but out of context in the middle of a trailer pisses me off. if you thought you were going down to Siesta Key, man, and it's going to be all butterflies and rainbows, then I'm going to have news for you. And there's a point where there's this girl yelling at her boyfriend, "You think you did nothing wrong?" And then there's a guy in the middle of a crowded party or whatever saying, "Shut the fuck up!"
This is, by the way, is exactly what that OC reality show was on MTV back in the day.
Laguna Beach
and then The Hills.
Exactly
the same thing.
Yeah.
One of those girls' dads was rich and paid to produce the show. And that's what's happening here, only it's in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of I've seen 2 episodes of Siesta Key, not by explicit choice. But both episodes were literally identical. They all come together at someone's house. Everyone lives in a mansion. Everyone has a pool. And there's always like, "Oh my God, did you hear about this? He kissed this one and she doesn't know. And she's again, they're together, but they're not together. And stuff. And it's basically high school, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And you know what? If it gets ratings, then more power to you. You came up with something people want to watch.
Yep.
People say worse shit about CinemaSins videos.
It's true. It's very true. Quiz show.
Good movie.
It's a great movie,
That's
and
right.
I know that we have probably highly recommended Quiz Show in the past. Definitely recommending it again here. Was it in our best of? Because 94 was a stacked year. I know we had Shawshank, we had Pulp Fiction.
I think Shawshank won.
Yeah, and I don't think Quiz Show was ever a part of the seating, was it?
I think, no.
But it is one of the very best movies of 1994, and I would highly, highly recommend that. We are done with all the way through the Q's on Washington, D.C., so we'll start with the S's on the next one.
That's right.
So we will finish out D.C. on the next time we do this.
Yeah.
That'll do it for this week. Keep going to SinCast presented by CinemaSins on Facebook. We have a SoundCloud. We have CinemaSins Twitter. We have Patreon. We have Discord. Reddit. There's a lot.
We're everywhere.
There's a lot of places to come and talk about this very episode. But that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott, Barrett Scherer. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit CinemaSins.com.
I saw a lot of vaginas when I was when I googled the vajazzle.
That was a dangerous Google. I swear to God, they called it Vesparkle on the show.
No, it is.
On the internet is correcting me.
The service itself is a Vesparkle, but the act itself is vajazzling.
Hey, why do I keep eating McMuffins, man?
Ooh, I don't know.
Like this has become the thing, right? Like I have a weird chemistry going on. So I need to eat lunch well before we would be done with this podcast, or I'll get sick later. So I eat on my way down here because I don't want to eat too early either. And it's become McDonald's because I can just, first of all, it's all location. I don't have to go out of my way to hit McDonald's on my way to get here. It's literally, I drive right by it. If I wanted to go to Wendy's, I have to go out of my way and I have to leave the house 10 minutes earlier, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So my new regular, God, I hate that I'm saying this. Make sure this is buried deep in the outtakes, is I'll get the 10-piece nugget and fries and McMuffin.
Hold on. Oh, they serve breakfast all day now, right?
Yeah, they do.
You
I
could have
think they
McMuffin and the wow.
It's funny. I have not been to McDonald's in so long. I forgot about that all day breakfast thing.
I know it's not. I mean, we all have our indulgences, but this is like I'm going on like 7 weeks in a row of having done this, and it's not. I got to find a new. Like there needs to be like a chicken wrap place or a salad place. I can't eat a salad while I'm driving. Anyway, why do I keep eating McMuffins? They like every single time lead. I'm not hungry again until midnight.
That's an interesting combination too. The McMuffin with the nuggets.
It's ever since they made lunch available all day, or breakfast available all day. If I'm at McDonald's,
just because
I'm
you can.
getting a breakfast item, because that was the thing growing up, was that we almost never got McDonald's breakfast because when were we gonna? Why would we? It was always cereal or whatever mom made or what have you. And by the time we get to McDonald's, like Michael Douglas and falling down, they've already switched over to the lunch menu. And so it was like this golden fleece for a long, long time. Then I became an adult, and I would eat it regularly on my way to work or what have you.
Haven't you ever heard that the customer is always right?
That movie would play. I bet that movie plays better today than it did when it came out.
It probably does.
I love that movie. Who directed that?
Joel Schumacher.
That's right. That may be his best movie.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I read something in the trivia of IMDb that Michael Douglas considers that his favorite film.
Really?
Yeah, Falling Down.
Wow. What are the best Michael Douglas acted movies?
Wall Street.
Wall Street
he didn't
is
pick
great.
Ghosts of My Girlfriend's Past. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
But see, it's Wall Street, and then you have a lot of sameness. Like he's always the rich white businessman guy. So he's like
The
Disclosure,
Game.
The Game, Basic Instinct. He's not a
God.
he's not a wealthy
He's so
businessman.
terrible
He's such a
in
bad, yeah.
I wonder
They
how
say
many-
that girl's the fuck of the century.
so fucked up.
He tells her girlfriend that girl's the fuck of the century. If you were growing up and saw Lost Boys and Flatliners, you probably thought that was the tits.
I'm telling you what, Lost Boys and Flatliners, those was the tits when I was growing up. But you're right, neither one of them holds up. I would actually, God, I can't believe I'm saying this on record. I'd rather watch that Ellen Page Flatliners bullshit than watch the original.
Really?
Because the nostalgia goodness of the original cannot overwhelm the bad. And at least the current, the remake is shot well.
Yeah.
It looks good.
I haven't seen it. I think I
shouldn't.
did the Sin. Yeah, I did the Sin script for that, for the 90 version. I liked it. I don't know.
I definitely wrote for that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was the two of us.
I remember going through writing for that, but it maybe
Oh,
the
it was
three of us.
it was you two. It was you two, and I think I watched the movie just to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I was like, God, this is just.
What was Trespass?
Well, no, that's not the same Trespass. There's a Trespass that came out in 1992
With Ice Cube?
Has Ice Cube and Bill Paxton, and it's awesome.
I keep seeing it on
Really?
the channels, but I haven't.
Yes.
I haven't stopped on it once.
It's don't say I know who the director of this is of the 92 Trespass. It's
I don't recognize this guy's name.
You don't recognize the guy's name? Is it the 1992 Ice Cube Bill Paxton? Walter Hill?
Yeah, Walter Hill.
Yeah.
You know who were?
When I heard Walter Hill,
You
on
know,
my favorite
I bet this is why
station.
this is so good. It was written by Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's about, I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's one of those movies that you're not going to remember. Hey, Chris talked about this movie. I should watch it. But Bill Paxton and his buddy are coming in from like Missouri or something like that, or they're going to Missouri, or they're going, I don't remember. They're somewhere in the South. And they go to this place, and they're told there's a treasure sort of sitting in this abandoned building. So they go and look for it. But at the same time that they go look for it, there's this gang activity going on at the same time. Of course, Ice Cube and who else is in that?
William Sadler.
William Sadler, I think, is Bill Paxton's buddy. And then there's another big name with Ice Cube.
Ice Cube and Ice-T.
Oh, it's Ice-T. So it's both. It's both Ices.
Both of the Ices.
And so there's a gang. There's sort of this gang thing happening at the same time in the same area. They don't know anything about this treasure or whatever. And so like once they find out that these two guys are in the area or whatever, it could be witnesses and everything. And it's like this big like standoff in these abandoned buildings and everything, and then trying to find the treasure, trying to get out with the treasure.
I love treasure.
I haven't seen it in forever.
Do not seek the treasure.
Yes.
Tiny Lister's in that.
But it's good, man. That's a Jeremy movie all the fucking
All right,
way.
I'm going to stop on it next time I see it. I've seen it probably like a dozen times in the last couple of months as I'm flipping through the channel. I just haven't stopped.
Check that out.
This is something that the next time we see you will have seen it 10 times.
I would love that to be the case. It has always read the description on Comcast, which I know I shouldn't trust, but it always reads like a Judgment Night ripoff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not.
And it came out before Judgment
I bet it did, and I bet Like Judgment Night, it's not even awesome.
No, Judgment Night is awesome.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hell yeah. I haven't seen it in so long. I don't know.
Judgment Night is, I mean, I haven't seen it in forever, but
Yeah.
Judgment Night is fucking sweet.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's rad.
Yeah. And especially back in the day, if you're like, because you like Demolition Man as well.
Yeah.
Dennis Leary is in his Dennis Learyest mode there, because every movie they put him in, he had to go, I like this and that, okay? Blah, blah, blah. He's always doing that shit.
Wasn't he a gang leader in this?
Yeah, he's the bad guy.
Yeah, that's right.
He's the bad guy in Judgment Night. But yeah, it's Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding, and who else?
Is it Steven Dorff?
Oh, it is Stephen Dorff.
Yeah.
And they're all going to some boxing match. And they're in
South
this
side of
sweet ass trailer with a satellite TV and everything. And then they're in this horrible Chicago traffic, and they're like, I know a shortcut. And it goes off into this, like, they might as well have just like had like, murder signs up and everything.
Yep. Chalk outlines everywhere.
Yeah. And of course they get lost and they don't get to the boxing match. It's Judgment Night, man.
Jeremy Piven is in there?
Piven, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I tried to watch Very Bad Things the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go well.
It's kind of hard to watch.
It's really not easy to
I like
watch.
that movie.
Another movie that came on the other day that I flipped past and watched about 3 minutes of was Dead Man on Campus.
Oh, yeah.
I remember liking that one too.
I did, but I don't think that plays very
Is
much
it not?
today. I don't
That
really
was
don't.
Zach Morris, wasn't it?
Well, yes.
Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Yeah. And Tom Everett Scott.
Tom Everett Scott.
Yeah, that's
And that guy Lachlan Monroe, who's like, I got some beers, let's drink them.
So I was watching Friends earlier today,
Really?
and Chandler was trying to hit on Monica and trying to be the kind of guy she would date one day if they were both 40 and still single. This is way before they get together in the show. And he's repeatedly knocking on the door, and she answers the door, and he's trying to like be charming or whatever. The last one he does, he's on his knees, and she looks down, and he goes, "What? Dwarf on doorways? That's funny." And I remembered that. I think it was Tim Conway who did those dwarf on golf and what. Is that shit offensive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here going, man, my dad and I watched those when I was little. I bet that's offensive.
Yeah. I think it is.
Okay, just wanted to check.
Who's Michael Vartan?
He's the main dude,
He's
main
the
dude
teacher
in
from,
Alias.
the teacher from Never Been Kissed.
Oh, okay. I guess I never knew his name.
Is that the second week in a row he brought up Never Been Kissed? Or 2 out of 3 weeks?
Oh, shit. This is, Dead Man's Curve was by Dan Rosen, who did The Last Supper, who wrote The Last Supper.
Oh,
Really? Yeah.
Now you're going to want to check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe.
Report back to me, because I may not want to watch it.
Yeah, it's 5.9 on the IMDb, but
Hey, I just told the whole world that I loved a movie that's like 28% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Which one?
Venom.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Man, I'm with you. I am totally
I figured
with you.
the way you had talked about it kind of made me think this is exactly how Barrett felt when he watched, because it's a hot mess. But I really enjoyed watching it.
there's something about Tom Hardy, man.
It is. But anytime he and Venom have a conversation, I'm in
Yeah.
all the way. But yeah, he went somewhere
Yeah.
in that movie.
No, that's one of the Recca-warniest movies ever. It's like right there in that perfect like little sliver of Recca-warn.
Yeah.
I do feel bad for Riz Ahmed or whatever.
Oh, my God.
Because after that HBO limited series, he's just been cast in, well, almost exclusively evil tech magnate.
yeah.
Because he's that in Jason Bourne as well.
Yeah.